there any discussion on the motion? No discussion. Hearing all in favor of the adoption of the same rules of debate as used at convention, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The rules are adopted. For the previous minutes, there was a board meeting on July 8th. You have been presented with the minutes. Is there a motion to approve said minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Bruce moved, and I heard a second. I believe the mic. Oh, that far. Okay.
We have a tech team.
So, any discussion on the minutes of July 8th? None appearing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. The minutes are approved.
I think we're live.
Thank you. So, they missed my greeting. Well, all right. Welcome. As far as reports are concerned, both of the executive officers and of the committee chairs, you will find that most will be deferred to the business of the convention. However, I have a few items to present to this board. First, please be notified that I have appointed Lila Flager, as the chair of the Women of Gay Rodeo Committee, and Mark Larson to handle the Rodeo Crisis Fund. With regard to today's agenda, please note that at the end of this session, we will be having a extended presentation from our new marketing chair, Bradley Houston, regarding marketing, particularly with results of our recent online survey, and as a foundation for much of the business we're going to be tackling during the course of the convention. She specifically asked to have that time with the trustees and directors as the key representative of your association, so that you can be well informed and make sure that your associations are aware of what we're going to be attempting to do. During the course of this convention, we're going to be hearing from a number of our committees, and we're going to be looking towards staffing these for the coming year in our committees. I remind you that our bylaws point to the trustees as the persons responsible for working within your associations and putting forward the persons, in many instances, to fill several of our key committees, such as public relations, bylaws, marketing, rodeo rules, that sort of thing. There will be produced and circulated during the course of the convention a little card for everybody to identify where their interests might lie. But I do ask you for your cooperation in helping guide her to see to it that people here have the opportunity to fill those out and come back to us. And if you have people back home who are interested or who you believe ought to be interested, please make sure that they're identified and tested as well. Similarly, I will remind you that while this board of directors meets, you are the voice of your local association, calling to our attention their needs and their desires. But I remind you that your vote in the board of directors is owed to the welfare of the entirety of IGRA as a whole. Later in the day, you're going to have an item in the Board of Trustees, and then on the convention floor, an item coming up regarding rodeo fines. And I will say simply this without trying to stake out a position. Fines need to be clear, and they need to be proportional to the infraction, the importance that we assign to it. It's not our goal to take any association's money away from them punitively, and harm their operations or their ability to give to charity, but it is certainly our goal and our responsibility to see to it they're held accountable to the standards we establish for maintaining the integrity of sanctioned rodeos. You will find that there's one specific question you're going to be faced later today where it's rather ambiguous how to determine a fine in a particular instance. You're also going to be asked to review some instances that occurred with regard to some particular rodeos where there was an issue with insurance certificates. I think once you get in that meeting and look at the facts before you, your path will be clear. However, in the agenda of the convention, you'll find that there's a measure that seeks to address that issue and clarify it. And I'll say simply this: insurance for your rodeo is an absolute necessity of being sanctioned. And it is our fiduciary responsibility as the board to ensure or usher that you are insured We've had an instance this year, well, we've had a couple of instances this year and 3 instances last year, where associations did in fact produce the certificate, get the insurance. Sometimes it was because the contractor simply didn't get around to it. Sometimes it was because the association was taking its time to see to it that the insurance was in place. We have a deadline for a reason. We cannot, as the board of IGRA, permit a rodeo to occur and be sanctioned by us that is not properly covered by insurance. So in an instance where that becomes a question, the later it comes in the game, the more pressure it puts on IGRA. We're scrambling, trying to see whether or not they've got it. If they don't, we're scrambling to see to it that we have options. Then it arises, what do we do if they don't produce it? We were literally within 48 hours on a rodeo. Do I convene an emergency meeting of the board of directors to de-sanction the rodeo? We don't want to do that. That will kill the rodeo and possibly the association. Do we provide the insurance? Well, that is a sound and reasonable possibility, but we need to know this. What I want you to know is that there's a reason for this fine. One, we may have to buy a policy. 2, it requires staff time to deal with this. I can't tell you the number of hours our administrative assistant had to devote to this issue this year. It requires additional volunteer time, and it requires a response from our key vendor relationship to deal with this. So please understand there are consequences attached to this particular issue, and most importantly, when you're planning a rodeo, please be aware of and be attentive to the requirement and the necessity of having the insurance in place at the correct time, and then we have nothing more to talk about. I also need to call to your attention, it is in the minutes, but it was raised to me as a question by a member of our board, and so I will address it publicly. There have been some requests by the Rodeo Officials Committee to suspend certain requirements of the rules because of what are essentially systematic difficulties in meeting the rules that we have established for certification in some instances. The board, the executive board of directors, acting in the name of the association, has suspended those rules at their request, knowing that we are allowing people to stand for recertification without having met the absolute requirements in our rodeo rules and standards. The reason we've done this is because it is what is required in order for us to fully staff our certified officials positions. I will point out to you that this is an ongoing issue, and I look to the ROC and then to the convention to find the means to address it so that the board of directors or executive board is not put in a position where we must respond this way to meet our needs. In other words, let's change the rule, make the rule work. That's the short answer. Finally, I want to call to your attention that this is the last occasion during this rodeo year that the board of directors will meet in its full force as one unit. Sunday we'll meet again, but many of you will scatter to the forwards by then. I thank you for the service you have rendered IGRA as a member of this board and on behalf of your association. It is highly meaningful. It is not always pleasurable, but it is vital to the functioning of the organization. So I thank you all for what you have given and will do this week and give for the association. I remind you that thanks is the only pay we receive for our work here, and it will be frequently on our lips. I have, however, made a very small contribution to charity in your honor. And to denote that, if you'll pass these down to each of our trustees and alternates today, also to our chairs of our committees here this weekend, this is a small token of my gratitude for your service. With that, I'll retain the remainder of my report for the convention floor. Are there any questions for me? Very well. I will pass then at this time also the sign-in sheets. One is labeled for board of directors. If you are sitting as a director or alternate today, please sign the one that says BOD. If you are sitting as a guest, please sign the one that says guest. Do we have a report from the Vice President?
Yes. Jason just sent a short report, and then there's one recommendation for action. In his report, he just wrote, I would like to thank the Executive Board for their support of the 2016 IGRA Royalty Team. It was an amazing year, and this next year seems to be just as great. I do plan to be more active with the World Gay Rodeo Finals Committee to assure that we schedule properly to ensure that all that are involved with finals weekend gets the proper time schedule for all involved in the weekend. That was his written report, that finals.
All right. Thank you. And yes, I want the leftovers there. Chairs to take this one.
Recommendation from Jason and the 2016 royalty team is to write checks for $2,500 each to the three 2016 charities.
You have the recommendation of the Vice President and the Royalty Committee. Is there any discussion on the recommendation to write checks for $2,500 to each of the three 2016 royalty charity partners? There being no discussion, all in favor of that said motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. David, please write checks for $2,500 to each of our 2016 charity partners. Is there anything further from the Vice President?
That was all.
Very well. Does anyone else, Ron, do you have a report at this time?
No, I'm going to defer mine.
David, do you have a report at this time?
Yes, we have a few people who owe us money, a few associations. Cotton States owes $279.58 for their insurance. IGRA owes for their membership and insurance of $879.58. I was told that they would contact me today to run a card for that. New Mexico owes us $1,000 for their insurance fine. OGRA owes us $85.34 for rodeo members, and Sacramento owes us $1,000 for their insurance fine.
I'm sure you said that all such funds have to be paid prior to the opening of convention.
I'm sure I said that.
Yes.
What did you say with OGRA?
$85.34 for rodeo members.
Okay, 85.
Not 8,000.
Those are some great road.
Yeah.
He was thinking he's not charging enough for some ordering.
And I have not been notified of any membership fines or the judges for Mr. and Ms. fines.
Okay. Are there any questions for David with regard to his report? Very well, thank you, David. I know we'll hear more from you later. Trustee Chief, do you have anything at this time?
No.
Mr. Admin Assistant, do you have anything to do?
Yes, just a couple of things. First off, and I don't know if I'm mentioning this on the floor or not, but anyway, I wanted to thank all the contestants, and maybe I'll do this tomorrow too. We had great response for finals. It was very effective. It was one of the best years that we have experienced with responses, where we strictly ask people to email their responses back. It eliminates a great deal of confusion trying to listen to a phone message that sometimes Dave and I have to listen to 3, 4, 5 times, to people's mumbling and going on and on, about something. So it was a big success. So we continue to strive to improve our methodology and trying to get finals contestants signed up and notified. This year was one of the best years. The one issue that we continue to have, and I really don't know what a solution to that would be, maybe somebody can help, is partners. Once you get way down the list, it becomes very, very difficult for people to find partners, and Candy can attest to that. She tried to help us out, and finally we just had to give up, because the rule currently states that to compete at finals as a partner, you must have had competed in that event at least once during the rodeo year. Maybe something that we need to reconsider, I don't know. But I know I get the question, once we get down there, I get the question, can you help, can you find me somebody, or who is available? And I can't tell you, I won't name any names, but I would get back and I'd say, well, here's this one. They said, oh, well, they're probably not very good. I don't find them. Well, you know what? Guess what? Then find your own partner. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions, Tom?
Do we know what the financial state is of Roque Rodeo Finals here?
Yes. The answer is yes. That information is part of our agenda for the weekend, but Lisa, do you have the ability to answer it a little more specifically for you?
Well, I have a copy of it, but
Well, you were David.
I wanted David.
The financials for October reflect almost everything regarding finance. And as of the end of October, the net profit for finals was $11,195.77. There are some additional expenses that are coming in, but less than 1,000 or 1,500. That answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Wait a second, we have one other thing, I'm sorry. There is one other thing, I'm sorry, I won't take up much of your time, I know everybody wants to move on. I did want to mention merchandising. The last 2 years, we have had a campaign, Gene and I want to, first off, I want to thank Gene for all of his hard work and contributions that he gives to IGRA and helps with the merchandising program that we have. The last 2 years since I've come on board have been greatly successful. Thank you, Gene, and I have other people that help, David, and guys who trailer this merchandise from Dallas. Wade Earp at finals for a couple of years has been who? Oh, and Candy, right? Candy Bell. Candy Actually, I didn't know you trailered anything. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Contributing to that success. With that being said, the very, very popular bull logo that came out of Canada. Thank you very much. We are moved on. It is we're moving on to new and brighter designs. So with that being said, this year we are looking forward, and I hope Bruce doesn't mind me saying this.
Go ahead.
This year, IGRA is celebrating its 500th rodeo. We will know who that is at the end of this weekend, or where that will take place. We had speculation, we had counted, but that has since changed. So after approvals this weekend, we should know where that 500th rodeo will be. We think we know where it's going to be, but wait until Sunday we will.
We'll know at the end of this meeting.
Well, actually, we'll know at the end of this meeting. That's correct. So anyway, that's going to be very, very exciting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments with regard to Tommy's report? I will repeat this in front of the convention, but Tommy, you, our partners at GIST, and Gene from Twisted Embroidery have done an extraordinary job this year in the marketing and merchandising. We've had not quite record-breaking numbers, but we have had numbers we have not experienced in several years, and it is a huge difference for IGRA, for our budget, for our esprit de corps, and all that sort of things. So thank you each and all for that.
Thank you.
The corporate auditor's report will be presented as part of the regular convention business. Are there any committees who need or wish to report to the board of directors at this time? Those reports will be deferred to the convention floor. I did receive, while we were in the session, word from Bradley that her schedule has been a little more complicated. She will be on site by 1 p.m. So we'll reorganize our schedule to accommodate for that. I don't see any necessity to reconvene the board of directors because there will be no action to take. So we'll just simply do it as a little workshop, without having to reconvene. And our hope is to be able to do it right after the lunch break. On the subject of lunch break, today's lunch arrangements are independent, they're on your own. The restaurant is prepared for being able to serve 20 or 30 of us, on site. Otherwise, I think that's a quarter mile to the nearest place to eat and a mile or three to drive somewhere. For tomorrow, when there will be 80 or 100 of us looking for lunch at more or less the same time, they will have a buffet. But each day you can order off the menu or take the buffet tomorrow, again, a la carte. Of course, the Saturday and Sunday meal are part of the lunch. We will move on. Is there any old business to come before the board? Very well, moving to new business. We have the consideration of the 2017 rodeo applications. We will take them in order as they appear on the agenda. With regard to a Texas Tradition Rodeo, we have previously approved that rodeo. However, they are requesting to modify their application because of new dates and a new venue. This was previously sent to the board. Do I have a motion to approve that change? Thank you, Terry. Is there a second?
Second.
Having moved and seconded, is there any discussion on the request to change the date and location of the Texas Tradition Rodeo? There being none, all in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. The date and location are to be changed. We have the request from OGRA for the Great Plains Rodeo, May 26th to 28th, which does include a variance request. And what's this? Okay, great. Is there a motion on behalf of OGRA to approve the rodeo with the variance request? We make a motion.
Oh, yes, I'll move.
Thank you. It's moved. Is there a second? Second. Having been moved and seconded, is there a discussion on the application? The motion approved. There being no discussion, all in favor of approving the OGRA Great Plains Rodeo, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. The Great Plains Rodeo is approved. We have the application for the Keystone State Day Rodeo, June 23rd to 25th. This is their initial application. However, the dates have changed to what they had initially informed us of based on the intention and availability of the venue. Is there a motion to approve the rodeo?
Move to approve.
Bruce Roby, thank you, and I believe I saw a second from Sherry Covington. Any discussion on the application? Jim, is there anything you want to say on behalf of Keystone? There being no discussion, all in favor of approving the Keystone State Gay Rodeo, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. Keystone will have a rodeo. Now, on that topic, before I move on, this is their first rodeo as an association. And two things, we've already met and talked about the necessity of sticking to your plan now and making sure that you push through and that you receive any assistance and guidance you need early rather than late so that you're successful. They are having a rodeo. They're having a wonderful venue. I have visited it. They have a very sound budget plan. All they have to do now is execute. They have an extraordinary amount of enthusiasm. What they need is us. They need our confidence and our support in their rodeo, and they need us to be there to participate and to support it. So I encourage you in your associations and with your competitors to bear that in mind. Any questions there?
Question, please. Do they have the equipment?
Jim, do you have equipment?
We need like arena and
Ropes,
they're all full.
That's all provided by the venue.
And have we ascertained that the venue knows our specifications with regard to the ropes for this
We're
event?
working that out through the contract that you're about to sign.
Tom, is the point of yours to make sure we have a backup plan and somebody tells if there's anything?
Yes.
Okay. So Jim, Michael,
We have had discussions, and we've even talked about possibly contacting other local associations that have had rodeos, such as Atlantic States and what have you. If there's something that they don't have, we would, reaching out.
anything further? Very well, we'll move to the next. That is the application from CGRA for the 35th Rocky Mountain Regional Rodeo, July 7th and 9th, which includes a variance request for the indoor arena to be used in the case of inclement weather. Is there a motion?
So to approve.
I heard that from Bruce Roby. Is there a second? Having been moved and seconded, is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor of the application, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. The 35th Rocky Mountain Regional Rodeo is approved. We have the request from the North Star Regional Rodeo for a rodeo on July 29th to 30th, 28th if you count Friday. There are no variances requested for this. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Candy. Is there a second? Second. Having been moved and seconded, is there any discussion on the motion to approve the North Star Regional Rodeo? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. North Star, you get a rodeo. Don't laugh. Look up the dates of the rodeos, the beginning of the year up to these, but I have All righty, we have the application from New Mexico Gay Rodeo Association for the Zia Regional Rodeo, August 12th and 13th. They do note in their application the current standing fine for the stock contract not being signed in time, and they indicate that, I believe this is for the, not the contract per se, but for the insurance. And this is on the agenda for the trustees meeting. Is there a motion to approve the rodeo? Or, yes, approve the rodeo application, not the rodeo, so free to approve that. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you. I hear a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Having received a motion to second, is there any discussion on the application? Tom?
Question, where will it be? Santa Fe or Albuquerque?
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. Thank you.
Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve the Zia Regional Rodeo August 12th and 13th, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. Zia has their rodeo. We have the application from Missouri Gay Rodeo Association for the 23rd Annual Show Me State Rodeo, September 2nd and 3rd, with no variance request. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Thank you, Terry. Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Oh, excuse me. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'm autopilot. I apologize. Now we have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? There being no discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve the Missouri Gay Rodeo Association's application for Show Me State Rodeo, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. The rodeo application is approved. We have the application from the Golden State Gay Rodeo Association Bay Area Chapter and approved by the State Board for the Best Buck in the Bay, September 15th and 17th, with no variance request. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Amy. Is there a second? Thank you. Having moved and seconded, is there a discussion on the motion? Tom?
Sorry to be anal. Is it Best Buck in the Bay or is it Rodeo on the River?
Their application said Best Buck in the Bay. I wrote just what was on their application.
Bruce, do you have
it
anything
won't
further
be-
you want to say on that topic?
The production is still Best Buck in the Bay. They choose to use a local brand for the event, calling it Rodeo on the River.
And
They haven't quite grasped the concept of updating the whole process.
And you had a follow-up question?
No.
Okay, there you have that. Any other discussion? Workshop.
So there's no mention of the impending situation with the IGRA logo use and possible, it's not fine, it is, what is that word? The rules of the standards.
It's not noted on the application.
So I think we should just revise the application to reflect that, even though something may not happen.
I'm going to ask the secretary to revise the application to note that currently, based on the rodeo checklist, at the most recent version of their rodeo, they failed to incorporate the IGRA logo in marketing materials, specifically the program and any posters that we were able to see produced, which is an infraction of our sanctioning rules. The stated penalty is a fixed percentage of their receipts. That's the part that is rather vague. The Board of Trustees will deal with the matter later today, but you are informed that they have a violation and an impending financial penalty. Now, any further discussion?
And just to clarify, they did use the logo appropriately on their other marketing materials, it's strictly the program.
No, thank you. All right, thank you.
Not posters.
Okay, appreciate that. That's why we pay you.
Check bounced.
Any further discussion on the application? I have one question, Mr. Trustee from GSGRA. To the extent you are able, can you assure us that we can anticipate that will not be a recurring problem?
That will not be a recurring problem.
Thank you.
I have a bigger baseball bat.
Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor of the application from the Bay Area Chapter, Best Buck in the Bay Rodeo on the River, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. Bay Area Chapter gets the rodeo.
Discipline was the word.
Discipline, thank you. We have the application from the Nevada Gay Rodeo Association for Bighorn Rodeo, September 22nd to 24th, with no variance request. Is there a motion?
I'm sorry, what were the dates, Bruce?
September 22nd to 24th.
I don't even have them listed.
Well, Frank, you had them earlier because they were gonna be in May, their date has changed. So, well, nothing is, until we deal with here, this is actually the earliest that they've given us the new date. Okay, but you'll get a real list after this, so. Any further discussion on the application? Any further discussion on the application? All in favor of granting the request from NGRA for Bighorn Rodeo, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Did I have a motion?
I didn't hear you ask for a motion. You voted.
Pardon? Thank you, John. I appreciate you, John. Yes, I did, and that's what turned out.
You didn't catch that?
No.
I tell you, the train just goes on autopilot.
I know.
You guys gotta keep an eye.
We'll keep an eye on
Yeah. Okay. I think I already called for the yeas and nays, yes? Okay, the ayes have it, the motion passes. Bighorn Rodeo is approved. May I have the list?
If you can read, there's some things on here that I want to point out.
So-
The ones that are not legal, you have to be changed.
Okay, we just, cross those over here, so I clear these markings. Are there any applications that I have not attended to? Great, in just a moment, we're gonna review what we've done for rodeos.
You mean which one's 500?
That would be the point.
Just checking.
I brought this gavel for people like you.
That's the baby gavel.
It's the one for, yeah, okay. And these are in gay order, right? Yes, sir. Okay. Arizona Gay Rodeo, February 17th to 19th. Texas Tradition, March 31st, April 2nd. Rodeo in the Rock, April 28th to 30th. Hot Rodeo, May 12th to 14th. Great Plains Rodeo, May 26th to 28th. Keystone State Day Rodeo, June 23rd to 25th. Rocky Mountain Regional Rodeo, July 7th to 9th. North Star Regional Rodeo, July 28th, 30th, my birthday, please try to remember that. Thank you. Zia Regional Rodeo, August 11th to 13th. Show Me State Rodeo, September 1st to 3rd. Best Buck in the Bay, etc., September 8th to 10th. Bighorn Rodeo, September 22nd to 24th. And Frank, the date here for
I see it.
WGRF,
Yeah, just.
1 week later. Thank you. There you have it. Now let me count. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, a 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 approved regional rodeos plus World Day Rodeo finalists. We have completed 489 rodeos to date. The 11th rodeo next year is scheduled to be our 500th rodeo ever, and that honor currently rests with Best Buck in the Bay. Make sure they have our logo. Now, we're going to make some plans to try to work with them to promote and celebrate this. It's really kind of important. Obviously, we know that in prior years, things have happened where the rodeos have reordered or fallen out. We hope that doesn't occur, but we'll plan for it now. But all things subject to change without notice. Tom.
Here goes Anal Tom again. Best Buck in the Bay. On the program, it says September 15th through 17th. You just said 8 through something.
Mr. Secretary.
Going back to what Frank said, and now what you're saying, the reason there was no list and whatever's on the website is what was mentioned at last year's convention. A lot of dates changed, as you heard, and that's what these applications for, and that's why I did not do a list today, because you never know, on convention floor, dates still change sometimes.
So Best Buck in the Bay starts on September the 8th?
No. Their dates, it was right from their application, I will check that again, but it was,
September 15th through 17th.
oh, September 15th through 17th, how did I get?
Oh, you caught him. Thank you, Tom.
Well, okay, I missed that.
That's all right. He'll adjust. We appreciate your attendance.
But after convention, there will be an official list published of all the rodeos.
And Lisa?
I'm just looking a little bit further.
Sure, look further.
The finals date there, I know was approved by this body or voted on back in Denver, but it has since changed.
Right. Now,
But-
yes, Frank, we already discussed was a week off, so he's making that change. I'm going to address that, Lisa. Frank, we'll go to you first.
I would like to remind all the trustees and the associations how critical it is, regardless of whether your rodeo has been approved or not. If you change the dates, you've got to let me know about it, because this is where the world finds out what your rodeo dates are. People plan their vacations a year in advance to go to your rodeo. So obviously, we've had some of these dates up here incorrect for months. This is extremely important to impress that.
So on this topic, before we move further, let's discuss what it is we actually do when we talk about these dates. When we approve an application, we're locking in your date, okay? Which is why we had to go back to Texas to change the date today, because we'd already locked in. Now, this weekend, we're going to ask you to project your dates into 2018 and 2019. They are tentative dates and they are subject to change, but we're going to publish them because everybody else does look at those dates to make their plans. So while they're not locked in, we're all planning around you at this time. If there's a change, and some of you have had that occur during the course of this year, you need to notify us, and you should actually bring it to the attention of the board in a meeting so that we can go, okay, we acknowledge that, and then we can get those tracked. You don't have to wait for a quarterly board meeting for that, it can be done by the executive board, but just make sure that the information is passed on.
If it's an extended year, just send the information to me and make sure you know that I know that you're a valid person.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I still want the board to be, I want the board to acknowledge it before we change the published date, okay? But yes, by all means, keep all this you need to know informed. Michael?
The other thing I was gonna make as an observation, the dates are important, obviously, but it's also important to have your rodeo information on your website updated, and not just a week or two before. There's people that plan ahead of time or you'll email the contact on the site asking is there a hotel, or is there a particular hotel that you recommend, things of that nature. A lot of times, hotel information is not on the website until literally just before the rodeo.
Roger, I know you had waved your hand a moment ago. Do you still wish? Okay. Anybody else? Lisa?
Just on the discussion of changing the dates or whatever.
Yep.
I'm trying to get things right.
Sure.
I thought my purpose was just say as the rodeo director, I would go to the secretary and let the secretary know, and then the secretary's responsible to tell the webmaster. I mean, if not, how does he?
The board
Right.
needs to do something. I mean, here's my answer to your question. Share the information, with key people. Put him on notice that this is coming up. But, Frank, please don't make a change until the board has acknowledged it and inside action.
Right. That's why I didn't.
So we got it now? All right.
Well, and the other thing too, related to that, I just got the date and venue change for TGRA on November 14th. So it's kind of impossible.
And you're preparing for this.
Yes.
It's in the ordinary course of business, but there are others of these dates where, we need to do a better job. That's the key thing. On the subject of rodeo approvals, rodeo dates, is there any other discussion? Okay. Normally, Michael Lintz rides herd on this topic for us throughout the course of the weekend and gets these all done for the projecting into the second and third year. As far as I know, Mr. Lintz is not going to be with us this weekend.
Yes, he will.
He will be,
He will.
he called me this morning, he'll be here only a short time on Saturday.
Okay, so we're going to ask him to go ahead and do what he normally does, but he may need to arrange for somebody to kind of follow him down. So thank you for that information. At this time, it is 10:47. We'll take a 13-minute break and reconvene at 11. I call this meeting of the Board of Directors back to order. Delicious little snacks. I had no idea they were coming. Word of clarification. This is good for itty bitty Dixie cup size Frosty at any Wendy's, anywhere, anytime you order food, starting January 1st of next year through December 31st next year, all year, or every day, every time you go to Wendy's and get food, you can have a Frosty. There's no limit. It's not just a Frosty. It's a Frosty forever for the entire year. So don't use it and throw it away. Okay. The next item is the 2017. The next item is the 2017 IGRA Royalty Charities Review. And please note, as it says there, that we can't approve it until the January 2017 board meeting because of the peculiarity in our bylaws. But it's important that you know about it now while we have the broadest possible forum to start promoting it for them. They have given to us by email some incredible little background information on their three choices. Do you have anything specific? Oh, thank you. Frank? Oh, okay. Hi, two people watching at home. Glad you tuned in. The first of the three proposed is the Joshua Tree Feeding Program. It is housed out of Phoenix, Arizona. They serve primarily the HIV and AIDS community in Phoenix. They are 100% volunteer nonprofit and have no paid staff. They serve between 100 and 125 clients every Wednesday from 10 to noon. And the clients are able to pick and choose which items they need. It's much like a store, so basically it's a food pantry. No food is wasted, which empowers their clients. There is some additional background information, their brochure, evidence of their 501c3 status.
Where's that? That's what I see where they say they're a nonprofit taxes.
Well,
Is that,
all right.
is that assumed as a tax exempt?
No, tax exempt and tax deductible are two different things. So, actually, you raised something you may need to clarify. So we'll send that back to World to clarify. Will you see that Jason and the team gets that? That we do in fact know that they're secret because that's.
Yeah, I know they are, but I didn't see it in there either.
Actually, if there's somebody who can go to their website, jtfp.org, we may actually be able to clarify that. JTFP, Joshua Tree Food Pantry Food Program.org. They do show their operating budget. Essentially, they work on a budget of about $50,000 to $60,000. So our contribution will be of some significance to them. It will be about, potentially in the range of about 5% of their overall budget or so. Again, we are not able to approve this today. Are there any questions? And most importantly, is there any objection?
What was that website?
JTFP.org. John Thomas Francis Patton.
Foxtrot.
Or Jane Teresa Francesca Patricia.
I know they are.
You know, the website, he's looking at it, just spit that line out.
Thank you, Amy, for that.
There we go. Yes.
Yes, what?
It says right here, they're exempt from federal income taxes under 501c3.
Very well. We have established that at least they say publicly they are. The only other thing we can do is check the IRS website.
Since I raised money for him, I have a copy of it in my desk.
John, your assertion is good enough for me. I will is very good. Thank you. Again, is there any objection to the royalty team selecting this kid? All right, so it will appear on the board of directors meeting in January for approval. So please don't change your mind in the meantime. The next proposed is stupid cancer, and they have produced a what? Stupid cancer, all one word. And they do assert right on their front page, they're a 501c3 charitable organization. Their mission is to empower those affected by young adult cancer. Their vision is to do so by building community, improving quality of life, providing meaningful survivorship, and with no survivor alone. Their charter is to ensure that no one affected by young adult cancer goes unaware of the age-appropriate support resources that are entitled to so they can get busy living. Founded in 2007 by Matthew Zachary, a young adult brain cancer survivor. I am going to only give you the highlights. It is today the largest nonprofit of its kind worldwide, hailed as the dominant youth cancer nonprofit by none other than MTV. They serve an age group of age 15 to 39 primarily, which has about 72,000 new diagnoses each year, I'm sure you understand that this is a topic of some significance to our royalty team from a personal standpoint as well. Any questions on this proposed charity? Amy?
What exactly do they do?
Well, they work tirelessly to be the best stewards of the revenue they receive. Now, what do? They do try to the point. Okay. They provide advocacy, They energize the social movement. They serve those affected with value and opportunity. We need to get more on that. Educate. So essentially, let's find out what their program services are.
And also where are they based?
Sure. They organize a worldwide oncology conference. They do a 2-week cross-country goodwill tour to promote local events featuring survivors. That seems to be an awareness building.
Sure.
They do regional conferences specifically aimed at client survivors. They provide hospital kits for those under medical care. That is 1/3 of what they identified. Is that enough?
Yes, that's what we're
Okay. Excellent question, by the way. Any other questions? The media kit does show their impact. And by the way, this is something we need to steal and emulate. Any other questions on that organization? Are there any objections to stupid case? Terrific. Oh, and I didn't see where they sat. It sounds like the reaches.
Yeah. Thank you.
We also have a proposal for Equest, Humans, Horses, Hope, 501c3 charitable organization, providing, looks like an integrative therapy program that involves both therapy for horses as well as riders. Began in 2012, began serving veterans and their families, very much like Miles for Smiles, but in a different locale apparently. It seems like out of Wiley, Texas. They utilize over 300 community volunteers to work in their programs, and that sounds like a great opportunity for the local association. By using the benefits of writing, they influence daily living skills, foster independence consistent with peer-to-peer and family relationships. And I don't have to say from other experience I have, I know that therapeutic course programs, particularly for those who are not from the agricultural and rural background, can be quite impactful. The money is used to offset the cost of equine care and directly support Equest and their mission and programs. The mission being to enhance the quality of life for children and adults with diverse needs using horses to bring hope and healing through equine assisted activities and therapies. They attempt to use an integrative approach that involves body, mind, spirit, heart, and soul. Currently based out of Wiley, serving about 295 riders with 36 horses. They're looking to expand and add additional instructors and grow to more than 700 volunteers. Currently, they're about 300. That will be how they will try to use part of the money. There's a name for what they do. It's called hippotherapy, which is a treatment with the help of a horse. Been successfully used in the 1970s. Any additional questions? Any objection to the charity being selected by our royal? Very well. We'll now move to a preliminary review of the 2017 operating budget before I turn it over to David. I'll mention to you our rules are kind of weird about certain things. The convention has the opportunity to change the budget, therefore there needs to be a budget for them to change. So we'll look at the preliminary budget now. It might be changed by things that happen during convention, and we'll look at it again after convention to make sure there's nothing that needs a board to do post-convention to see that we've done everything. Everybody on board? We're gonna see it 3 times this weekend. Book number 1, David.
Okay, I haven't sent this out to the individuals yet, but I have 2 items. One is the actual compared to the budget up through October, and the other is the preliminary budget. I can either email it out to the board, or I can put it in the financial area on the website. Which would you prefer?
For email, so.
Email? Okay, I'll get that done. Items, well, you really need to look it over to come up with any questions so that you can bring it back on Sunday. But I'll get these sent out. Any questions?
You'll have more when you see it.
Right. I'll send it out right now.
I will mention up front for you all to know that the executive board takes a very close look to the budget and our progress on it at each of our monthly meetings. It's very important to me that we exercise pretty rigorous financial oversight. At the same time, that doesn't mean that we, have to be conservative in our planning so much as responsible in our planning. So we have incorporated over the course of the last 2 years some aggressive programming supported by our budget. The outcome of which has been the opportunity to do new things and try new stuff to support the association and its members. At the same time, I will mention to you that we expect this to be our second balanced budget in a row with positive operating outcome while doing all that. So a large part of that, has to do with, I think, the constant look and evaluation of our financial situation, and a great deal has to do with our direct connection with finalists and helping them in their program, to produce a good event that's also fiscally sound for us. But at the same time, you'll hear me say throughout the weekend, IGRA must commit itself to raising money for IGRA. We must have activities aimed specifically at that purpose, and this budget presupposes that will occur in order to be able to fully fund what it envisions. Any questions before we move on? The next item on your agenda says the selection of the 2017 WGRF chair. However, under Article 12, Section 11, Paragraph 4, that's actually assigned to the Executive Board of Directors. So when we can do that, we'll do that. But you all are certainly welcome to stay tuned. Next item is the 2017 WGRF hotel contract, which was sent out in pre-meeting information. The hotel proposed is the Sheraton Airport, Albuquerque. Lisa. 4/2017, is this the recommendation?
Yes.
You have the recommendation. Any questions? We'll start with Michael Norman.
The dates in the contract have 2016 dates for cutoffs and so forth, such as in 2.6 and 2.8.
Thank you. Lisa? Workshop?
I was concerned about the function room end time. It's 11 p.m. Is there a reason?
On each day or which day?
Every day. It says.
Okay. So
I
Lisa,
didn't hear his question.
he's concerned that it shows an 11 p.m. end time. And we need to be more open-ended because, quite frankly, they like to stick around
Right.
and move past that.
I saw that too, and I agree with that.
Terrific. Roger Jack?
Were there any other hotels considered? I would like to see a selection of hotels, not just one.
There were 5 that were presented to us for consideration. And among those 5, for a variety of reasons in terms of what's included, base price, that sort of thing, this was the one that arose. But yes, that information was submitted.
Who was us?
It was submitted in Denver.
Yeah,
You were basically.
yeah, we've had it.
Did we have? Did I just sleep through that portion?
Yes, Roger, and we
Highly-
appreciate you
it's highly
providing us
possible.
with a delicious lunch.
Okay.
Yes, that is, yeah.
I don't remember that, but okay,
That's
thanks.
okay.
Glad to hear it.
Well, I mean, you know, we can't go back and look at other hotels, but we were presented with 5, and out of that, this is the direction we moved. So.
All right. I have no doubt.
Any other questions on the proposal or discussion on the proposal? You have the recommendation, you've heard the questions. Is there, are we prepared to vote? There being no motion to the contrary, thank you.
So we would vote with the understanding that the dates would be adjusted that are in the contract that are wrong.
Well, that would certainly, I think administratively, that's
Okay.
easy enough. But yes, that would be the assumption if
Just
you
making
voted
sure.
in favor. Roger?
No, I had the same thing. I want to make sure that we get those things adjusted first before you decide.
And I will answer that I have actually visited this site and interacted with the people. You know, they have had a long-standing relationship with the local court. They know how to work with a group like us, unlike many places we go who simply don't get what it is we do and how we do it. So my expectation is that we'll have a harmonious relationship. But I, like you, am attentive to what the pieces of paper and words say. Will, I believe I saw your hand up. Any other?
I have a quick question, and from doing contracts, that I'm sure it's okay, but this is supposed to be signed, executed by November 23rd, which is Wednesday, a week from yesterday. So is there going to be time to get the corrections made and get you to sign and back by that time?
Okay, we have corrections tomorrow today.
Yes,
Okay.
we can give corrections that day.
But yes. Any further discussion? All in favor of the recommendation to approve the Sheraton contract as corrected, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the recommendation passes. We will execute a correct contract with the Sheraton. We have the 2017 WGRF Arena contract for the Horsemen's Arena. Lisa, is it the recommendation of the committee?
Yes.
You have the recommendation of the committee and you have the contract review. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? There being none, all in favor of the proposed arena contract for WGRF, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have, the motion passes. We will execute the arena contract.
So, am I missing something on that? Are we ready to vote?
Well,
It's a bid, or it's an estimate, that's not a contract, what I see. So is there something else?
there is you did miss something else. And where is the actual contract? Because I know I've seen it, and it was in one of the packages. It is possible that,
This is all we got for this meeting.
all right.
But I believe,
Well, it's too late already.
I believe we had the contract
Motion to
for
reconsider.
Denver.
Would you go ahead and take it?
Yes. We had an
Okay.
estimate in the.
We have a motion to reconsider the action previously taken. Is there a second? Is there a second on the motion to reconsider? The idea of a motion to reconsider is that we undo what we just did, or allow ourselves the option. There being no motion.
Sure, second.
Thank you. I only asked twice.
I was looking at the minutes from July.
Thank you.
There was no discussion.
There is a motion to reconsider. All in favor of the motion to reconsider, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The motion to reconsider passes. We have undone our commitment to the arena contract. Okay. Lisa, will you search for the contract, not the bid, and get it sent to Ron, and we'll send it out. So we'll take up that later if we can. Or actually, do you have it? Can you give it to Frank on a thumb drive so you can put it up? We'll move on for the moment. Well, you're supposed to speak up after.
trying.
Yeah. A review of forms, I've asked you, and I've had sent out to you the various forms for the participating rodeo agreements for the 4 programs we adopted last year. There are 2 reasons we're going to look at this as a board today. The first is because, quite frankly, a lot of associations really didn't get the hang of it. Their trustees didn't understand. They didn't pass information along. They didn't know how it operated. Sometimes they simply didn't realize its existence until it was too late that it might actually help them. So number 1, we're going to spend a little time educating ourselves. And number 2, we're going to take a little bit of time to possibly deal with a couple of tweaks. We'll deal first with the IGRA Rodeo Partner Participating Rodeo Association Agreement. And that is for the regional rodeos. So the title on it is Participating Rodeo Association Agreement. You've got your computers called up. This is the one that says for a regional rodeo, any association may raise $500 to devote to anybody's rodeo, and IGRA will pitch in $250. We had a few associations that put in money and didn't ask us to match. At least 2 of them did that. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I was on the phone with some trustees and said, you know, you probably ought to, but they didn't. Way worse. So we don't want that opportunity lost. If you are going to raise money for added prize money, we want to partner with you. Simple as that. Our contestants have told us that it's an important incentive to them, and so we're trying to answer that need. So number 1, please be aware that it's out there, and number 2, ask for it, Michael.
So hypothetically, person goes to local association, says, I'm going to give you $500 for added money for your rodeo. The association can turn around and say, IGRA, we've got $500 added money. We want $250 more from you.
Exactly right, Michael. Say, for instance, you're Keystone Gay Rodeo Association. You are about to put on your very first rodeo. You guys have somebody who says, we'll give you $500 for this purpose, and then you say, IGRA, give us $250. Absolutely. Now, I remind you that other associations may decide to support your association as well. For instance, Michigan, who isn't having a rodeo next year, but they want to go to your rodeo, might raise $500 for your rodeo and say, IGRA, match that with $250, and we give you another $750. Now you have $1,500. This occurred last year at one of our rodeos, didn't it? It's also possible that our friends in IGRA, who are not having a rodeo next year, may have some desire to support that rodeo, and Tom may come to us and say, we've got somebody who's providing $500 and we want to send it over to Keystone. Will IGRA match the $250? We now have $2,250 for Keystone. Everybody on board? Okay. A couple of little tweaks. We did make the decision that we would allow chapters the same opportunity as associations, so we would honor that. And in the case of an association that produces more than one rodeo, last year we didn't take that into account, but we want to make certain that we allow for GSGRA to support both of their rodeos. In addition to which, I called your attention that it says, for added prize money, but not limited to that. It is our expressed desire to support that. However, we currently are allowing leniency in that regard. Gene, I saw your hand in there.
I just understood you just saying that, based on Michael's question, that if they're approached with sponsorship money, $500, then the association could take that and tell IGRA to send $250, but that's not exactly how it works.
The intent is that you raise money. Not that you don't take a sponsorship that you already have, that you raise money for the purpose of added prize. And you do that, we'll step up and do our part.
No, that's not what I was trying to say.
We don't want you shifting money, you know.
That's not what I was saying.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, I said it wrong, I apologize. What I'm talking about is the money has to, the $500 has to be sent to IGRA. IGRA then will send a check to the association for $750, in essence.
Hold on, let me read this one, because some of it's important to send to us, others is not. David, in this instance, we only ask that we be given evidence that the money's been paid to the receiving association and will match. We don't need to receive it and send it.
Okay, I'm just going on what I was told, because that's where
Yeah,
I
that's-
had Red
that's-
River send their
But
money.
we did it, but we don't feel we need to do it. The only one where we have to have the money, we have to have the money is the price, the progressive, because we have to be responsible for paying. Roger that.
Just to help maybe clarify that, then I would suggest altering this form at the bottom. It says submit with payment.
Yeah.
With payment to me, so it means I send money to you.
Yeah, and, yes, we definitely want to revise the form. We'll do that administratively with the EDOD. Candy?
Has it always been 90 days?
The
It
form
always
says
has been, and
90
it's never been adhered to.
It is
Okay, I
not,
didn't know that, so.
it is not a rule or requirement the program is established, but, you know, we do want to have time to deal with things.
Yeah, because a lot of us do fundraisers specifically for rodeo or something like that. so-
I already checked with them, make sure they would take it before I let you.
We could change that to 30 days.
Let's go ahead and change
I
it.
think that would be great.
Well, the key thing is though, last year we made the conscious decision to be very flexible about applying this. We want people to do it, so
Exactly.
our friends in Michigan brought $500 in cash that was in a book,
Yeah,
and we honored them.
okay, gotcha.
Okay, but part of the reason for wanting to do it in advance is very clear. If people don't know, they can't choose to support your rodeo because of added price. So plan ahead as best you can. But we'll still work to make it happen.
Question.
Yes,
I wanted to sure, are we, the first sentence that you read, to support added prize money, but not limited to that. So are we leaving it where it's not limited? Because I know this year, some of us did things not for prize money.
we have the flexible in the latter. Do you have a desire one way or the other?
I would like to leave it as it is, not limited, but I want to make sure we all understand that.
Unless somebody asks us to change it, we're not changing it. At this point. Pork chop is first.
I was just curious, as far as finals this year,
Different topic.
no,
Okay.
it has to do with this.
All right.
Cause I know like UGRA could give them $100. $200? Okay, so did we match any of that?
For finals?
Yeah.
They're not a chapter, they're not an association.
That's a donation.
Is that why? And so all the rest we did?
If they put it in we're on regional rodeos right now, you're on finals. It operates the same way, it is a different fund. And,
I was just gonna say, leaving it that way, I can tell you that North Star last year had a few of these organizations participate with us, and I simply asked the donor or the person raising the money what they wanted, how they wanted it to be used. And it worked very well and was very simple. And nobody said buy beer with it, so.
okay, so essentially, we're gonna remain status quo, but revise the form slightly. And make certain we all know that it exists, that chapters can participate, and that we're gonna make sure that anybody that does more than one rodeo can do both of them. 30 days. Well, we'll deal with that. What Guy was talking about is the same program restricted to World Gay Rodeo Final, not the regional rodeo. What we just spoke about was supporting a local rodeo in the association, the first 12. The last one is for World Gay Rodeo Final. It's the same thing. You raise 500 for World Gay Rodeo Finals or more. You ask us to match it. We add that to the contestant price pool. It operates in the same way. Again, we allow for chapters to be able to do it as well as associations and that sort of thing. So, with that in mind, is there anything further on that? Mike?
How did that work this year? Did it work well, or was
3
it?
associations participated, or chapters participated. It helped to bridge the gap for money that was short because we didn't have any goes this year, so it helped us provide about this, closer to the same amount as previous years. But because so few associations participated, it did not allow us to add the potential $15,000 more to the prize pool. David, I did the best I can.
What?
No, okay.
there any plan to codify any of this stuff into our standard?
Into our
Or are
standard?
you just gonna operate off of the minutes?
Forever is a long time, but I would tell you that at present, I don't have a plan to codify it because I feel we need to develop more data before we make a long-term decision. My feeling is we need to do it for about 3 years before we have enough knowledge about whether or not it should be decided. That's my answer. But I don't think that's a decision
I would ask though that if you're doing a progressive,
that's a different topic, and we'll get to that.
Okay, no.
I promise we'll get to that, but because there are 4 things and they can be very confusing, let's. Okay. Anything else on the WGRF? Very well. Let's deal with the easier one first, the IGRA Rodeo School Support Request. Last year we offered 8 potential scholarships, 2 in each division of $500 each for an association sponsoring a school who we didn't ask for the support. We had some who sponsored a school who didn't ask for it. The only proposed change is to, instead of assign 2 per division, because we did have one division where there were proposed more than 2, to guarantee, as it were, to reserve 1 per division, and then make the remaining ones on an application basis to be decided, more or less not first served, but if there's a multitude of them, to devise it based on, as the form says, what we consider to be the greater needs to spread the limited money. So with that difference, is there anybody has any question or comments on that particular program? Okay. Terry, now we're going to talk about the price of the law.
One of the things I would ask is to make sure that you advertise that it's going to be kind of split, the money is to be divided.
And what Terry's talking about is there was an instance of confusion where, even though it's out there, it wasn't specifically addressed in the promotional stuff. And this is exactly the language that we are asking every association that participates every time you refer to it to use. No roll up, no rollover, paid to 4 places, unawarded monies remain in the prize pool and roll to the next participating rodeo. Does everybody understand the language? The idea of the progressive is, if you didn't hit in this spot, you don't get somebody else's money. You only get the money you qualified for. The rest rolls over so that the money grows. Otherwise, it can't be progressive. Everybody with me? Gene?
I would also say, keep in mind that when you're advertising that, to advertise the progressive pool being at your rodeo, and any other added money that you might have as 2 separate things. I think part of the confusion comes in when you talk about added money and you lump both of those things together. Because in essence, then you should be defining, based on our rules, advertising of how that added money is going to be distributed, either based on IGRA rule or some other way, versus then this statement for the progressive pool. Because as a trustee, I can tell you it's also communication, because how this was working was worked out by the executive board, and I honestly didn't even realize how that it was going to be split 3 places. I honestly thought it were 4 places. I honestly thought it was a winner take all, and then if nobody took all, then it rolled over. So I was even out of it.
I might have to correct you on that point. The administration of the program, that is the forms and all that, so I think that was done by the executive board. But what you were referring to now is actually what was produced out of the convention. It is in.
Right, but I could not find that because the minutes weren't posted.
And it's been like 2 years.
Because we don't have them.
Yeah, but it's not been changed at all. So it wasn't the executive board who did that. So, but having said that.
Okay, but let's not argue semantics. The executive board has allowed the minutes to not be posted because we don't have them. So someone's got to be responsible. Sorry, but that, I mean, don't back me in a corner because I said something wrong. I didn't know about it.
I understand. I just, do want you to know that it wasn't the executive board who made that, decision about the fourplex. In any event, on the progressive prize pool, having addressed the question of how to be very clear on that, anything else on that? Robert?
Just a question for the board. Is the progressive prize pool, is that posted anywhere where we as associations can advertise the potential money?
It has to be recalculated after each rodeo, so it is not currently posted anywhere that I'm aware of.
So we don't have a way of saying what the potential progressive pool amount for bulls or steers or something at our particular rodeo could be for that week. And it could be always listed as estimate.
The answer is that Phoenix has told me that they anticipate participating, they believe they're going to participate in this program for their rodeo, right? For Arizona, right? Yes. So we are able to project for Arizona what the amounts are. We cannot project the Rocky Mountain Regional Rodeo because we don't know who's going to win what and who's going to participate in that. But we can project to the next rodeo.
So once the rodeo prior to us is completed, we would be able to get that estimated amount, that progressive pool to advertise anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? All right.
So, I still have a question.
Oh, sure.
So, when we go to advertise for our additional prize money, we can't lump the progressive in with other additional money.
Well, you can certainly give an aggregate number, but you do need to break out this much is for the
In
rough
terms for
progressive.
that, and the terms for the other.
Right. And you know, for instance, in all of your other stuff, the money you are raising for advertising, you know how you're going to divide that out and all that sort of stuff. The division of this is known, but the amount for some rodeos may not be known until a few weeks before. We can give you that number today.
I can give you that number today. Bull riding, $1,400. Bareback bronc riding, $1,350. Steer riding, $213.67. You would add your $750 for each category to come up with the full amount for your road.
Now, David, those numbers sound like they're not men's or women's, and those are tax centers.
True.
Okay. Click the right box.
Well, I'm not very clear with our property because
But we have to do it now, this weekend, that's 90 days.
But we just changed that to here.
Well, no, that's what it is. But for posting, it's $40.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else on that? All right. Frank has posted the actual contract. And yeah, let's go ahead and send it by email because we can't all scroll through that at one time. Yeah, at least if you'll email, you have the trustees, the board
Hang
use
on
that.
just a second. I'll bring it over. Will you have the contacts with you all?
I sent it to you.
Send it to Ron, Ron will send
I
it.
sent it to Ron.
1 second, I'll bring it over real hard, it's faster.
It's not working.
If anybody's sending it to the Yahoo group, that Yahoo group is not updated yet because, because it wouldn't let me remove. We're working on that, and then Mark is not in there yet. We have to get him in. So at least if you're sending it, add Mark's email so he gets it too. But if it just goes Yahoo group, of course the alternates here today are not going to have to get it either.
is somebody emailing this out?
I am.
Okay. And you're sending it to the group or to the individual?
I'm sending them to this.
Okay. And we also need to send it to the alternates who are sitting around the table. Lisa?
To that, I also sent up a variance request.
That'll be handled by the trustees. It'll be handled by the trustees. It's not, we can't do it in the board. Frank?
I just placed it on the website. It's under the all other resources, administrative resources.
All right. So therefore, you don't have to wait on an email if you've got internet.
Is this the same facility that we used before then?
Yes, in 2009.
Frank, I don't see it under that.
Wait a second, let me put it a little bit better, please. I'll put it over under exhibits.
Just so you can act.
Give me a second. Okay, it's over under exhibits.
Where were we? Okay, International Day Rodeo, October 2000, unsigned. Okay, so it is now on the IGRA website in that designated spot. It's the last item, and it just says International Day Rodeo unsigned. All right. We'll just be at ease for a few minutes so you can review that. We won't recess, don't go anywhere.
I will be removing that probably by the end of the weekend.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't belong there.
All right, in reference to the security question, our event coordinator is contacting the head of security because the main thing is we cannot let alcohol go out the door. And I said, what about our security that we post at doors? And there is, in their guide, there is a t-shirt security provision. And she is checking to make sure that a t-shirt security provision, which would be our folks, would suffice keeping alcohol from going out the door. That's the main gist of that. If not, we will have to provide security personnel at the doors to keep people. And that's an answer on that right now. Like I said, I don't know if our security will suffice, but we're hoping it will. Okay. Water, we can bring water and we can have it donated and we can dispense it to our people with no charge. It is the sold water in the concession stand that they're referring to. So we're good on that. Pardon? Okay. Stalls, we would have to pay for an extra day.
Pay for an extra day on what?
For stall fees. Stalls are $10 per stall. At 120, that's $1,200.
Yes, well, those kind of stall fees, we're not talking about OB.
It's part of the contract.
But we're not paying additional fee for it, we never talked about it, it's all the.
Correct, but it falls under the,
I get that.
so the end result, if we added a day on the beginning, which is Thursday, the contract would be raised to $8,835.
Which is an increase for the 1,200. Okay, and of that, that's typical for us to have installed it on Thursday.
Yes.
What about night?
I didn't ask about, well, it just says any additional days, so now if we add that extra day, that's 5 days installed instead of 3. But that, like I said, we didn't have a chance to meet with our, get our budget.
Don't we pass that on?
Pardon?
Um,
But I understand.
I'll put you there.
Is there anything else?
And you got to follow up with Lisa on that.
I don't believe you'll be charged for Monday. It's nice. Every facility I've ever been at, it's not the day, it's the night, so as long as everybody leaves on Monday, they consider it a drop in the night. So I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be paying for Monday.
Lisa, did you have anything else for your call, or you knew that you
That's all I have.
Okay. Ron, were you? Okay. Terrific. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the matter for the first?
I'd like to just make a rhetorical comment. The last time we went to a rodeo at this arena, they put the vendors in a different building, and that was a big mistake. No one knows that much.
There is a very small area at the front where vendors can be, but there is some. Any other person for the first time? Lisa, did you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I was going to follow up on that. Of course, like I said, the new committee hasn't even had a chance to talk about all this. But we were looking at provisions of setting up vendors even outside on the lawn.
Anyone else for the first? Roger, you were up for the second.
It's a good answer, thank you.
Robert, for the L. Any further discussion? You have the proposed contract and recommendation from the committee. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the proposed, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Proposal is accepted to execute the contract. Yes, and it's correct on the let me get back to the right page. I would like to recognize and thank the Texas Rodeo Association, who has very kindly provided a $400 scholarship for one of our greats for this weekend. Texas, we appreciate that, and we will keep your food and drink through you with gratitude and I don't know, vigorous with it. I am told there are still opportunities for other associations who might want to offer it. We will not take a second vote at this meeting for the operating budget, despite the fact that it's on your agenda for a second time. Is Brad you with us yet? All right. As I said, we'll take that up as a special outside meeting presentation. Normally, we reserve our announcements for the end of the convention on Sunday. Are there any associations who need to present announcements, wish to present announcements at this meeting? GSGR.
I have if anybody, excuse me, if anybody out there needs a roommate this weekend, I do have a delegate who's partner delegate that's chosen not to attend. So they are now without accommodations. Mr. Lawson is open to sharing a room. So if anybody has something, let me know. I appreciate that.
Any other association? All right. I didn't ask for it, so yes, I am.
I'm not sure. Back in the report, it is a Ron gave the trustee report, the vice president's report. I didn't hear anything, and David gave his report and actually stated that he had not received any fines for judges at the royalty contest. I guess I'm curious if anybody knows anything about that, because I know for a fact that there should.
I'll give everyone else a chance.
Okay, thanks.
You know for a fact, I do not.
I know.
I have not been,
That's why I'm asking that question.
until I'm told, I don't know.
I've had a discussion where it came up that a particular association chose not to provide somebody. They were given the option and made aware that they could choose to have somebody who was outside their association. They still chose not to, so we take it on. Jason has not presented anybody full-time to the treasurer for election.
So it's not something that it's still open, is what you're saying?
Yes.
It's not been, no decision has been made or anything.
Correct. And I would anticipate that Jason will do due diligence and do to tell us who anybody is to talk to.
Can we instruct him to finalize that?
Well, I hesitate to start something. You can certainly ask him to do it, because it is a question we want to have about the procedure on this Saturday. So what would you like? Please, tomorrow, maybe on the you're after that. I got your hand.
Oh, no, I'm just.
Back correctly here, and folks are told. Thank you. Well, Robert, we recognize your voice in the back. You said it better, so sorry about that. Is there any further new business? Amy?
No, I just have a question about Judge, welcome Judge. It's been almost a month. Do you know why that hasn't?
You know, the answer is no, we do not know why. My guess is because Jason knows that it's the thing, that he probably doesn't realize that it's he who has to do it in such and such a way. Okay. But I'm pretty sure once he's made aware that he's the one who has to tell us, he'll tell us and we'll do it. That's just a guess, because I haven't asked him. Okay. Bradley Austin is now with us. Bradley, do you anticipate anything in your presentation that's going to require action by the board? Then I'm going to ask if there's any further new business. And if there are any further announcements by associations. That being the case, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting of the board of directors and turn the program over to Bradley Austin, our new marketing chair. If you haven't met her, this is Bradley. And we will give her the opportunity for us. Bradley, so where do you want to work from?
I don't need any technology.
Do you want to work from here?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely.
How's it going? Did you just finish?
Thank you.
How's it going?
Good.
All right, so today what I want to, has most of the people in this in the room known about the surveys or taken the surveys that went out? So I'm going to present the preliminary results for that. And I don't have anything to show you up there. It's a pretty brief, high-level review of what came in, and then I'll go into more detail in a published report. But I just kind of wanted to hit the highlights and then open it for discussion, because the idea here, the whole point of the surveys were to sort of understand where the organization is in terms of from the contestant perspective and then from the volunteers and member perspective. A lot of people are both, and some people are like, when I was involved in Kansas City, I was just a volunteer, I never competed, so I have a different perspective than somebody who does both or somebody who's just a contestant. So I wanted to kind of tackle the question, pose certain questions so that we can get feedback from those two different perspectives. So basically from a
a very high level. On the contestant side, we only had 33 people respond. I was a little bit disappointed in the low turnout, but it's never having surveyed this group before, I wasn't having my baseline to go from, so I don't know I just was expecting more people to so for 33 people to sort of speak for all of the contestants, I think is a long shot, but it does give us some information to at least go on as we're planning and working in the committees this weekend and next weekend or in January at university. It might help inform some of the programming at university. So on the contestants, of the 33 who responded, 6 of those have only been involved 4 years or less. 11 between 5 and 9 years. 5 between 10 and 14 years. 6 respondents between 15 and 19 years, and 5 respondents 20 years or more. So, given the question of, are you going to stay involved next year or in the future, nobody said no in that group, which is nice. And everyone said yes, of course, we're still going to stay involved and compete again. So that's nice. They're coming back. But looking at the number of people who've been in the organization for a very long time, that's good news. It's also good news with people between the 5 and 9 year range. That was the biggest part of the contestant respondents. So 1/3 of the people who responded as contestants, they're coming back. And we'll get into some of the highlights on the comments about recruiting and getting more people involved. But I thought that was positive. Nobody said they're not going to come back and compete again. So then, 2 other highlights. One big chunk of what I was looking for is, as a contestant, how do you feel like rodeos are organized when you attend them and you compete in them? And the other part was, how do you, what about the social events, whether the fundraisers or the evening events that are associated with rodeos, or fundraisers throughout the year as you attend your local association? From the contestant perspective, how do you feel, number one, how well rodeos are organized? The numbers came in right in the middle. It was a scale from 0 to 10, right? So, or 1 to 10. So there was, the average was straight up in the middle on the high side. So, but room for improvement. I mean, most of, for people who are involved as a contestant from 2 to 4 years, they feel like they came in right about 7 points, right about 8 on how they feel organized, that rodeos are organized. The people who've been in contestants the longest, 20 plus years, they had the lowest average rating. It was 6.3, but nobody was below 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. So, that's good. We're on the positive side of the median there, but still some room for improvement. We'll go through some of the comments that people made after they rated that. On the social aspect and the fundraisers and entertainment, it was rated a little bit higher from the contestant. Again, we're still talking about contestant perspective. So, again, the people who have been involved at least a number of years as contestants rated social activities and fundraisers the highest. So, and I can tell you something, if you're new to the organization, you don't know what to expect, you don't have anything to compare it to, everything's fabulous, right? That's good, right? People who have been involved the longest, and the 20 years plus people, they had the lowest ranking. It was a straight up 5 on social activity and fundraising. They've been here the longest, and they've seen the peaks and the valleys and things that are going on. Some of the feedback, not specifically from that group, but some of the feedback was this whole festival thing that some rodeos are trying to do is not working. It's really kind of, getting out of the scope of what you're trying to accomplish as a rodeo organization and charitable organization, and giving people a safe place to compete and the family and community aspect. When you start going the festival route and doing those things, there was some feedback there that maybe you're kind of losing us on that. Maybe you're just sort of getting way off the reservation here. So let's talk. Still, we're talking about contestants. The key takeaways, because I can read my handwriting. Of course, I'm sure this is not going to be a surprise to anybody. More prize money. And especially for the horse people, right? Because and by the way, let me just also explain that I'm sorry I didn't do my little bio ahead of time, but I'll tell you one piece of this is that I'm new to this organization, so I'm completely outsider looking in. So all of these comments, if I present anything that comes across sounding offensive in any way, it's just because I don't either know the right terminology or I'm just new. I'm just the messenger. But anyway, so trailer, and horses, and all of the stuff that goes with that. But across the board, more prize money, because that's one way to give an incentive for people to come to the rodeo and compete. If we want to recruit more business, we want to build up the people that are coming behind us, then we got to give them a reason to come. Which the next one was about recruiting. Better marketing and promotions of fundraisers and rodeo events. And specifically, this came up a lot, rodeo results. People are having a hard time finding out what happened at a rodeo. Which website do I go to? Should it be on IGRA? Should it be on the local? Should it be on both? You know, where do I find it? It's recorded late. We want to know, how people did. I want to see my name in it. Nobody said that. That's me. But it's just some feedback that rodeos are too long. It takes too long to transition from one event to the next one. And that while you're getting the crew is getting one event off, but maybe another crew is setting one up. Some rodeos do a really great job of that. Maybe some other rodeos are not. I don't know. But too long between events, too much lag time between events. And also part of the criticism there is that when there's all that lag time between the events, you're losing the spectators. They're getting bored and leaving. They're not coming back. So two things with that: short rodeos, and maybe if there has to be some lag time between the events, put some entertainment out there. Give the spectators something to do or something to watch while you're changing out. Okay, so this came up on both sides. Lots of focus on drinking and partying. So. As I said, I will say this is coffee.
Was it a positive or negative?
Yes. Well, on the contestant side, specifically on the question was, can you say the comment section? The question was, what are some things that the rodeo does well? Organizing things, something like that. And this was drinking. One word comment: drinking. And then other comments was just less focus, not everybody drinks.
That was pork chops.
Do you know who you are? So drinking, a lot of focus on drinking. You need better officials. So some of the things that came up about officials were that they seem to play favorites. They're arrogant's not the word. Nobody said arrogant. I'm trying to treat I remember the comment specifically: treat contestants and spectators not in a nicer way. Be more, it's all about personality and demeanor and the interaction with it. When you get a spectator was in the way or in the wrong place, and in the heat of the moment, you need to get them out of there because it's about safety, right? I mean, I get it, but that was just. And then back to my earlier comment, get back to the grassroots of what we're doing. The festival atmosphere is just not working. So that's kind of the wrap up of the contestant side of the survey. Any questions? I hit it. It's a really broad, general look at it. So if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer. How much time do you have? So I can advantage.
Please be finished before 2.
Any questions on this?
Expand the number of people who respond to surveys. How do you get their interest? So, is there any way to reward them? So, give them a lollipop.
Is that a metaphor?
There's not a way to synchronize them to get more responses.
Yeah, part of this team was it was all electronic. It was relying on Facebook, relying on emails, and hoping that then people would respond. But maybe if there's a paper survey at an event where people can just really quickly check boxes. Maybe there's no write-in stuff. Maybe if we really just want to do easy metrics and just do yes, no's, and scales. A real quick paper survey might increase the response rate.
You have a lot of reward ceremony. There's great people who give comments, but maybe that should be up front, not at the report.
And on that topic, we only ask for input from contestants, and we should be asking for a little more broad-based input in that context as well.
I do the same thing. I would suggest, especially with my contestants or whatever, usually we're all in an area. So if you had, let's say, a couple iPads or the paper
When I send out during the day, people all have this, and they'll see the emails or read it. By the time they get home, so they have time to do it, it's like out of the mind. I'm bad about it. I read emails, I don't make it new, or I like to stay up. Once I read it, if I don't do it like that, it's done. Somebody's actually at home, I got the mess out.
I'm an alternate, so I don't see the results, but I know after every rodeo awards, the contestants fill out the surveys and they're ranking, 1 to 5,
So they're with you then? They're gonna evaluate you?
Yeah, but in that survey, there's places for officials, there's places for the arena, what have you, and as far as I know, there's not been anything major come out of those surveys, a few times I've seen a few of them, and it's, all 5s. But yeah, we hear for several years the conflict between, until we need better officials. I'm on the official side. I've never competed, and that's not my skill set. But I think there has to be a common ground. Sometimes everyone has to understand how we have trained those officials to do their, and by the same token, officials have to understand what the contestants going through, or the spectator as well. I think there needs to be some middle ground.
So given that you're not, have never been a contestant, but you're an official, do you find that challenging, understanding the contestant perspective when you're in a situation? Or do you feel like intuitively, do you get it, or?
I've been at enough rodeos, I've seen plenty of drama and plenty of controversy, and multiple meetings, interpretations, and what have you. There's an enormous amount of emotion and passion that comes into it. And sometimes if we focus on what's the right thing done, the emotions and passions sometimes can influence that decision. But I think there's room for improvement on both sides.
Can you just break down on the official question with why the lake is involved? Because I think that might be really telling.
Yeah, I will. In my report, it was going to bring all that down. Yeah,
that's even relevant. They've been here for a lot of years. I've been more critical officials of legislators than I do.
And some of the questions weren't, I didn't ask any questions in the survey specifically about officials. These are just writing comments. And, but I can write it to home.
Do we just have vendors, or do we have events, or do we have concerts? What are you talking about? Is it festival?
It wasn't specific, except there was one comment that talked about the week-long music festival in Canada. There were a couple of different comments about festivals, but only one said specifically that, I don't remember the lead up to.
Festival wasn't your word, it was their word. And she said, well, one person, and they didn't explain what they meant for that festival, except that one.
Right, yeah.
Well, Tennessee started too.
What's that?
Tennessee started for 2 years.
So, okay, so Texas on it, and then Canada, anybody else trying to, I think it's, I don't know, I'm assuming it means anything that's outside of the 2-day rodeo. That might be a bit more, and I think.
It was much more common earlier on in our history. A lot of associations did that years ago. It's kind of faded away.
And I asked if we could grant the opportunity to present the other half of the survey and then continue with the open discussion.
Sure, that's a great idea. Okay, so let's jump right into the volunteers. We had 38, and so this survey was intended for anyone who's any kind of a volunteer. So even if you're just a member, but maybe you're not that involved, or you're a member and you're a volunteer in some capacity, or you're also a member and volunteer at the leadership level. So this covers basically this survey covers everyone who's not a contestant from the contestant perspective. This covers the whole other perspective. So 38 people responded. For volunteers, I'm just going to say volunteers, catch all. So for volunteers who have been involved 2 to 4 years, 7 people responded. 5 to 9 years, 8 people responded. 10 to 14 years, 9 people responded. 15 to 19 years, 9 people responded, and 20 plus, 5 people responded. So of that 38, the 2 to 4 year folks unanimously said they're going to be involved again. 5 to 9, so this breakdown is a little bit more choppy than 2000. 5 to 9 year volunteers, 5 said they would be involved again, and 3 are not sure. For the 10 to 14, 8 said yes, 1 is unsure. 15 to 19, 5 said yes, they'll be involved again, 4 are unsure. And 20 plus, 3 said yes, 1 is unsure, 1 said no. So, that to me, the unsure and the no, those are some numbers that, I got a couple of unsures, mostly everyone said yes, they'll be back. So just something to think about there, and as we slice through the data, we'll see more trends about. And luckily, I would say half of the people on both sides gave us their name and number. That was optional. At the very end of the survey, if you took the survey, at the very end, you could just send and answer anonymously, or if you wanted to provide your contact information. A lot of people did. So we're going to have a chance to go back and follow up and get more specifics about some of the things that you're wondering about too, if they're not clear. So again, asking the same 2 questions from the volunteer perspective. How well organized do you think, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well organized are rodeos, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how well organized or entertaining are the social and fundraising? So on the how well rodeo is organized, the highest number came from the 5 to 9 year volunteers. That was a 7.3, and the lowest came from the 15 to 19, and that was a 5.5. So again, still on the positive side of the middle of the scale there, right? So that's good. The question about social events and fundraisers, the lowest number came from the people who the 20 plus group. That was a 5.8. That was the lowest rating. And then the highest rating came from the 15 to 19. So the very next group, the 15 to 19, was the highest rating. So at 6.6. So again, on the positive side of the middle there of the scale. Some key takeaways from this group. Again, please less emphasis on alcohol and partying. There was even one comment on, and I'm not saying there was a ton of comments, I'm just saying it came up enough that some people are concerned. One comment in particular is like, do we have to do everything in a bar or something? And of course I'm correct. But, so there's that. The volunteers are, this came up 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times. Need a standard structure for how rodeos are organized. It would be nice to all the rodeo, because a lot of these volunteers don't just shoot the crew, whatever. They go to different events and they're on the crew at multiple events. And I think what they're intuitively, I think what they're asking is, it'd be nice if everything was kind of, out of the box, like we know what we get there, we can hit the ground running, we know what to do. And maybe they do. And maybe I don't know. But that's what I'm getting at the survey as an outsider looking in. So you need a standard structure for how rodeos are organized. You need more variety. Drag shows get old. A few comments came up about reconnecting with the dance group, country dancing. More recruitment, more comments about needing more members, more volunteers. So that's a common thread through both the surveys and the recruiting piece. You need more education on rodeo, fundraising, and the rules. One comment I remember said, university isn't enough. They need more than just that one time a year to get guidance from IGRA. The rules change too much. And there was a couple of, and that's, you know what that means more than I do. The rules change too much.
You're here.
And I also, not everything was bad, by the way. I mean, I think I probably should have prefaced all this by saying that there were a lot of great comments for people who were very supportive. Like, it came up a lot, very accepting and supportive environment. Everyone takes care of everyone else, That wasn't just on the volunteer side, that was also on the contestant side. So I just didn't write that down because it wasn't as but But then on the volunteer side too, better communication between associations, like learning more about best practices, what's working for you, what isn't. Maybe we need to stop trying to do that if it's not working for you either, whatever it is, best practices. So more, I guess, connection between associations and perhaps IGRA can facilitate that, from the top level. So that's pretty much the highlights of the volunteer side of the survey. Any questions there?
Three things. I'm seeing a trend, and the trend says the longer you're in the association, you're going to start rating lower. And that's because they've had more experience, and it's not where it had been 20 years ago. Second comment is the very worst thing you can do to a volunteer is not use them. That is terrible. And that'll turn them against you. I've seen that happen. Thirdly, ASRA is having an internal problem right now that says stop having meetings in bars. Yeah, it's a real problem.
So that's kind of rolling up, I guess. And I don't intuitively, I don't get that they're saying, turn this into a dry event, something like that, but I think it's bothering enough people that it's being said.
So, just a quick overview of what this had on the policy and something that happened originally. It seems like the newbies, the youngers are very happy with the organization of it all. And as we get into that older group, myself, 15, 20 years plus, that's where it's most breaking down. So do you analyze those in your final report as to recommendations as far as focus?
I will. What I want to do, my next step is to try to go back to the people who have given us their contact information and take a deeper dive into what they're talking about and really get, some more specifics on what they mean and what, specifically what they would like to see change. And, some of these things can be, depending on the time of the day that you took the survey, what your day was like that day, what's going on in your life at that moment. A lot of things can be little trigger points on some of these questions, and they can just be like, So, but then you call them, you call somebody, and you're like, let's talk, like, what did you mean by? And they're like, well, I don't know. So until we have a chance to talk to people.
Would it be worthwhile after convention to resend that survey out just to all of our delegates if we, I don't know if we recorded it before or that policy didn't happen. But, after the delegates and everyone sitting on the floor realized, hey, this is really important, we only have 33 people. Probably the majority of the delegates on the floor are competitors or past competitors, and officials volunteers, well volunteers. But, and maybe that survey could say, do you have 5 minutes for IGRA? Or do you have 3 minutes? I mean, how long does that survey take? Like 8 questions. Yeah. So, just to kind of, because I looked at it, and I'm going to give not an answer. I'll go back to it, and I'm kind of busy right now, I'm doing this, so I'll go back to it, and then I go back to it. But if it was like, we have 3 minutes, I go, I'll just do this real quick. Telephone company, you do all visits. Okay, we answer this one question. Okay, now we answer the second question. So it takes like 3 minutes. I go, I don't know, somehow motivating people just take that second so that you look at the survey and hold on to the survey. Like when they call you on the phone, you have time to survey that? No. Yeah. Do you have time to answer a question? Yes. Yeah. So, and after convention, maybe people are a little more invested or can become a little more invested and we'll do that.
Well, it's still live, so I didn't take it down. So we can certainly ask people here this weekend to, when they get back to their room, and survey.
I think it's Alzheimer's. I might have done the survey. I don't know. When did it start, and how were people led to it?
I think we went live with it a couple of weeks before finals, and then and we told everybody it would close on the 31st.
How do people know what was happening?
So we sent it out. I sent messages out through several of the IGRA Facebook groups, and then we emailed to the email list Bruce gave me was all of the associate everyone here. And with the request to please forward on to the local membership. And I sent that email a couple of times to remind people to forward that to their local membership. And that was it. That was pretty much, yeah.
So I could find it on Facebook.
If you go to the IGRA page, well, you would have to scroll down and find you have to, actually go to the website, because the link is still there on, there you go.
It's also under radio.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's still on the IGRA website.
That was my first question was how was it sent out, because I never did see that, but after my rodeo, I kind of tried to disappear for a while. But my big question to you is on these surveys, I think one of our biggest problems is that we, as contestants or whatever, we do a survey in the rodeo. We don't see what those results are or brought back in the group. Years ago, I was the contestant liaison for the IGRA, and those were given to me, and I went through each rodeo and I pulled out 10 different statements from people on comments, and then put those out there saying these are what the 10 biggest problems for overall for our IGRA rodeo. If we do these surveys and we're getting some results back from them, we're getting something to tell us what we need to do or where we need to go, I think that's a great deal. But on the contestant side and the volunteer side, I went from being a competitor for many years to being a rodeo director and giving 100% honor rate. I would like to know how those really kind of work together in the clash. And what is the main things that happen with that? Because I know my personality and what I've been looking for has totally changed from the time that all I could think about was a contestant to now trying a new rodeo, a new type of rodeo that was totally different from any rodeo ever put on. I would like to know how that works. I'd like to have a result.
Well, I want to ask you to do one more thing. Tomorrow there is a session for contestant liaison. It's going to be mostly a discussion session. If you will look at your commitments and see if you can be in that, to kind of help follow up and practically speaking what you're asking about, that would be helpful for this week.
I would love to give. And then what happens to all that data? What do the local associations do with it?
Well,
and I'm not going to busy, and I know you can't answer for everyone, but I mean, I'm sure there's probably a box of paper surveys just sitting there.
I can tell you.
Okay.
Those contestant survey forms do not go to individual contestants purposely because people's names are in there and we don't want a bunch of conflict. I send them to the trustee of every rodeo. I send them to the rodeo director, so you should have gotten from Sia. I send them to you.
I don't remember getting them, but I could have. Like I said last month,
They go to Health and Safety Committee Chair. They go to the Rodeo Rules Committee Chair. All the people who need to see what happened and where there were issues that they can work on, get them. And they go out from finals. There were 50 surveys that I sent out. They are posted online in secure area. So there is a good distribution. And they go, if I have the president's name of the association, I usually send it to the president too, so they can see it.
Just an FYI, your survey is went live on October 5th.
Oh, okay. So for 26 days.
I was just going to say that as a rodeo director, I've always taken the surveys, and I've taken these past year's final surveys, and I go and play the numbers with the surveys themselves, and I don't eliminate any comments. I put them all down, and I distribute them out to my folks and say, okay, how can we correct this, or we don't want this to happen in our rodeo, or.
So for you, it's actually, you're like,
I use them. Yeah.
So does everyone use the same survey?
Yes.
Okay, so we can aggregate that across. For 1 year, we can aggregate 1 year across all rodeos. We can also aggregate across many years across all the rodeos.
collated. It's not in any electronically searchable format. It's literally the photocopies of the survey form, so it will require some admin.
The online survey was geared specifically towards contestants, but.
There were two. One was for contestants and the other was for volunteers. So there's two things.
Well, there's two different versions.
There are two different ones. Yeah. And the questions are very similar, but the instructions on the survey was please answer these questions from the contestant perspective and please answer these questions from a volunteer perspective so that, you would put yourself on one side or the other and answer the questions differently. That's not our survey. You're showing me one of the radio surveys.
This is one of the rodeo surveys. So that's the big rodeo, and this is the online.
Cool. Okay. That's good. So we could compare all of that data to this data, and actually that data is more valuable because you have over time and across the different rodeos.
Most of this data is just contestants, I think, at the rodeo. So
Right.
that's why I would like to see the volunteer stuff related to contestants. Yeah. Inspecting.
I was gonna say, we have the contestants fill it out, but we never have our volunteers fill it out, and you will get a whole different picture, I'm pretty sure you will, on how that rodeo went.
We did on this one. The volunteers say their contestants to get the, so they can have evaluation, so they can.
I have something to say.
Yeah, and they just have contestants to get it.
So there's usually enough on the table for everybody.
It'll be different than one usually because it's the same contestant going to 5 or 6 rodeos and going to each time. So you're getting, you have 50 surveys to this rodeo, 50 surveys to this rodeo, maybe 25 from the same person answering that question.
So the margin of error, what happens there, the margin of error and they can do an error or get bigger depending on, but, the way to aggregate that would be, it's not necessary, I don't think, to track the same person, the same respondent against every survey that they fill out necessarily. That would be nice, right? But I don't think it's necessary. I think we can still see some pretty in-depth and insightful responses that can give this organization at the local level or at the national level what you need to continue to improve and make changes as you go. Which it sounds like you do. Hopefully all the rodeos are doing that. They're taking that data at the local event, and hopefully everybody's doing that. Anyway, that's it. You guys, any other questions?
I want to thank Patty for fielding the survey for us and aggregating that information, giving us the overview today. I want to encourage all of you to speak with her during the time that's available this weekend one-to-one. Share your thoughts and ideas. If you're available, attend our session tomorrow. We're going to be talking about this now at university and at the January board meeting. This is an area where we're going to be concentrating this year. Brad, I want to thank you for Boston for everything.
My committee meeting is not, it's the first one.
The revised schedule is supposed to start that. We are going to break. That's it, right? We are going to break. When we return from the break, we will have a brief executive board of directors meeting. And then we'll start with the board of trustees following that. So it is now 1:48, and that's resumed with the executive board of directors at 2. I expect that to be 10 minutes. Really, there's not a lot to do. 10 minutes, maybe 15. So trustees, you should probably be prepared for the board of trustees at 2:15. If you're certainly welcome to sit in. Yeah, we heard that. Right before I asked you to stand up. So if you wanted it for the board of directors, you just need to do it. Anyway, we are in a break. We're going to have to go back to the order in the room, I call the Executive Board of Directors of the International Neighborhood Association. Is there an election for filling the vacancy of Division 4 trustee? I understand, Mr. Fritz, you have been elected to the position of Division 4 Vice Chair. Is that true? Congratulations. Welcome to the Executive Board. You have until July or January 1st. Mr. Secretary, will you please call the vote? Use vote here. Use open.
Roger Gleason here. Roger Gasper. Franklin Thompson. And Dean Briggs.
That's very well. The first order of business is the minutes of the October 5th conference. All those minutes have not been presented and circulated, so we will hold those over to Sunday. Is there any old business for the executive board? As far as new business is concerned, you're going to have to apply by the secret answer and catch up with this as we go, since we didn't have a chance to share them with you. But we do have the proposed rate card for IGRA 2017, and it is the recommendation of the committee to adopt that. Is there any discussion on the proposed advertising rate card? I'm good with question.
So we're keeping the same rates as we had this year? No.
How do they depart?
And there's a typo on there too, business card.
Yeah, there's another one too. The rates are basically, they vary, like the inside and backside cover, and the $50 difference is lower than last year. Now, the reason why I say this is we felt like we couldn't get the advertising that we needed. We couldn't sell the ads that way. Yes, we had advertisers. But
Okay, so can I finish out the rest of the question?
yes.
So, like, I'm looking at a full page ad, it's $400, to me, that's how much it was. A full page ad is $400. And, I mean, the rate structure is similar.
Yeah.
And so, last year, we had to pay $4,500 because we were on the backside of the private program, which is like a magazine. So now that I'm thinking that we're going to be producing our own program, I'm wondering if the rates are a little high. I don't know, I just think maybe we look at lower rates, we could probably make more money.
And I agree.
Being in agreement, let's come up with a schedule. Go ahead.
Well, I did lower them from last year's rate. Okay, because I personally got some ads for last year's, and I'd say this past finals, and it was tough. People didn't want to buy it.
Give us, if you would, since we don't have the side-by-side to look at, give us either a thumbnail sketch of a percentage reduction you have brought in or something like that. I have the sense the bookshop would like us to go even with that. That's
The $700 is a decrease of $50. The 400 is a decrease of 100. It was 500 last year, this past year. The half pages, it was $295, and I put it to $250. The quarter page is no, it was lowered to $175 by $25. It was $200. And then the business card remains the same. The other thing on here, if you notice, there's a 50% discount for nonprofits. If you look under deadlines, the paragraph there, we added that in so that associations that are a nonprofit they get a 50% discount.
Hey, how much was the program
The year before, it
It
was
was donated, but there was a time value of. Is that
25.
And that's what we're looking at, is 2,000 to 2,500.
I'm trying to think of how.
I'm gonna allow you to pull it over a little bit while we move down a little bit so that you can possibly have a good idea. The SRA Rodeo School Support Request. We have received a request to participate in the program for 28 April 2017, produced in association with the rodeo for new contestants. They're expressing as a small association that they believe it will be a great income opportunity to do that, develop further contestants and support their area. Thank you. Roger has moved. Is there a second? There is a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the SRA? There being none, all in favor of the proposal, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion passes. The SRA, you will receive $500 from IGRA. We have completed the school and submitted your follow-up. On the next item, I remind members of the executive board that we may not share confidential financial or medical information about an applicant regarding the rodeo crisis fund request. Jean, would you like to review specifically the request? You do that while I summarize. Okay. We have received a request for $500 grant from the Rodeo Crisis Fund based on critical injury and emergency services provided. The complete application has been submitted and circulated to the executive board.
So moved.
Has been moved by Roger to fund. Is there a second? Second. If you have any discussion, please be mindful of confidential nature. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor of funding the request, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have the motion passes. The request will be funded. Mr. Secretary, will you please notify me? Mr. Treasurer, will you write the request to the recipient or the check to the recipient? All right. We'll return to the question of the WGRF advertising fund workshop.
Okay, so I understand this by Lisa, she's agreeable to see what everybody else thinks. Leaving the inside and the back covers at 700, full page 350, half page 200, business for 75. So,
That number, I'm sure you didn't.
Did you say forward?
You didn't say forward.
Word should be one thing.
yeah.
All right. You did. All right, so the revision being that contrary to what is seen in the exhibit, full 350, half 200, quarter 150, business card 75, otherwise as you see. We have the recommendation of the committee. Is there any further discussion?
Were we including that 50% discount in there still?
The answer is yes, barring anything else. Any further discussion? Workshop.
I don't know if we want to offer that 50% discount on the side inside covers.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we, unless there is objection, we will make that alteration that inside outside is excluded from the discount. Any further discussion? All in favor of the proposal as amended, say aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes and the amended rate card is approved. It is the responsibility of the executive board to fill the committee for the World Day Rodeo Finals. I nominate for chair, past president, Doug Kraft. Who has consented to take if being selected. Is there anybody else who wishes to propose a name for chair? Those in favor of accepting the nomination of Doug Kraft for WGRF chair for 2017, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Good. The ayes have it. Mr. Kraft is elected chair. Is there any further business for the Executive Board of Directors?
Sadly and regretfully, I haven't emailed you all yet, and I meant to do that before right now, which I'm going to do it right now. However, I've had a job change in the recent past. My time commitment is just way too high with other things that I've been involved in, and I need to resign my WGRF assistant director position.
Ooh.
Sorry.
We might have another job for you. Yes, I only didn't approach you about it because you had that.
Roger, I appreciate your willingness to serve in that capacity, especially with your experience, and I regret the fact that you're going to lose you.
Happy to assist in any other ways that I can as far as questioning or the committee. I can't guarantee time.
We all respect that and are grateful that you make that choice now rather than something down the road. I feel confident that we have a strong committee. However, we will push to the Sunday agenda a follow-up discussion on this so we can see whether or not we need to make any alterations to it. To the executive board members who are the closest working group in terms of the one that I work with on a day-to-day basis in the management of our affairs, and I appreciate very much the extra effort and engagement you put into the governance of our organization. It's a lot of extra commitment that we understand. I thank you for it, and as a gesture of my thanks, if you will, before you leave today, come up and select one of these little items in front of you. Not my sodas, but you have my thanks. And yes, with that, is there any further business for the Executive Board of Directors? Then this meeting stands adjourned. Do you need any members?
Oh, good. There's nothing to the table. It's snowing. Oh!
So Facebook has said.
A request for a facility break, so a few minutes. So
personal privilege.
I'm not starting with that.
That's what we're still.
All right. Call the Board of Trustees meeting to order at 2:23. It changed. It wasn't hard. All right, so Ross, do the roll call.
John King. Here. Tom Lott. Here. Roger Chap. Here. Alan Thomas. Lisa Smith. Here. Bruce Roby. Present. Amy Griffin. Here. Jim Bellucci. Here. David Hallwood. Here. Kenneth Hall. Here. Brad Lucy. Here. Will Lamb. Here. Jim Frakes. Here. Liz McDonald. Tammy Pratt.
Here.
Mark Scown. Here. Mike Norman.
Here.
Terry Covington. Present.
Entertain a motion to adopt the rules of debate to limit discussion to 10 minutes.
Second.
Terry moves. discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And please, thank you. So we have minutes to approve for the following rodeos. We got Denver, Minneapolis. We had a special conference call regarding the rule interpretation for sheepdogging.
I move that we approve the previous many meetings as a block.
Second.
Oh. Okay, so, finish my sentence. Is there anything anybody wants to discuss about any in particular? Any of those minutes? All in favor of approving those minutes as being approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to old business. We don't have any new business. New business, certifications.
Frank. This was not sent out personally because I had to wait this morning for phone calls and confirmations before I could do this. But as trustees, hopefully you remember that as of last year's convention, recertifications don't come to the trustees to approve the road efficiency rules and approves them, and then if trustees want to deny one, then it's going to come in. So this is just a list of everybody that was recertified. I can tell you in the judges, Dee's husband chose not to ask for recertification, and the shoot coordinators, Diana Ross, chose not to recertify. Everybody else did recertify, and everything is in order. We have all their paperwork, so everything's good for recertifications for them. The other thing I wanted to report, if you go down to the bottom frame, is also, keep going, there. It is for judges program, the trustees, according to the rules, approve the enrollments in the judges program. You don't have to approve enrollments in the others. So we have 3 people, Roger Jack Semple and Jody Harvey, who we're recommending to be approved for enrollment in the judges program. And that's a committee recommendation.
No, this is news to me, so I was just.
So that.
And then making faces.
Yeah.
Is you headed walk, decline, or
the only thing, these husbands chose not to prosper, and recertification of the judge, and Diane Ross was the coordinator. Everybody else submitted all paperwork, and refused it.
So we have all those inside of from our last call. So, with committee recommendation to Jody Harvey, Sam Post, and Roger Chapman to the student judge program.
Second.
Actual recommendation. So, any discussion?
Question, so once, the new people, they go through the whole program or whatever, then they fall underneath all the judges have all the training and all the certifications in?
The initial certification. Yeah, once they completed every required, then they submit the request for certification, and it comes to the trustee.
Okay,
Maybe?
Just for people that are unfamiliar with the judges program, which is multi-tiered, once they're certified at 12 levels. Just because someone as it were, enrolls in the program, does not necessarily mean that they will complete the program.
Seeing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried. Any recommendations? Okay, so that takes us. The agenda is incomplete, so actually, well, not really. So it says rodeo rule 7, section 3 interpretation, so that would automatically, once we figure that out, we'll take care of the New Mexico situation and the Sacramento situation, where it was reported on the checklist that they owe a $1,000 fine for not getting the small contractor's liability insurance turned in within 12 days. And so since then, it's been pointed out that that rule did change last year slightly. And is that the association shall provide the administrative assistant a certificate of liability and coverage on the subcontractor's liability policy. Hosting associations, legal business name, and international bureau of the association incorporated must be listed as additional insured. These must be received by the administrative assistant no less than 12 days prior to the first rodeo performance. And then the next bullet says the host association will be fined $1,000 if a certificate of liability is not provided to the administrative assistant. And then a subsequent, if they did it again, a $2,000 fine and suspension. So my interpretation of this, as it's written, is that the policy is not provided to this $1,000 fine, and that's not what happened. So
How do you choose your?
I think I read it.
No. How does it help the teachers?
Those of you who were present at the August Cedar Rodeo of 2015 will remember the controversial discussion on this issue. And at that point, these two topics read in one sentence. And there was an attempt to interpret that a late fee would be fined of $1,000. That discussion went on, as you recall. That convention of 2015, myself and the bylaws committee revisited this issue to clarify the two topics in question. One being the submitting of the document 12 days in advance, and topic number 2, not submitting the document at all. Two different issues to clarify. And God is correct. There is currently, and the attempt was made to make it clear that at today's meeting, there is no late fee imposed. Only a $1,000 fee if the document and insurance is not provided.
So here's, I pulled up last year's rule book. It says must provide policy, and it says this must be received by the administrative assistant less than 12 days prior to the first performance. It says non-compliance to the above will result in a host association fine. Significantly the 12 days instead of non-compliance to the above will result. So now it says that if it's not provided. So I think it was just, and I partially at fault for that too, because I helped them those really just to work through those checklist issues. I didn't realize that the rule was that simple. I'm of the opinion that it's the $50 say that if it's checking in when you're automatically assessed a fine, but I don't think it's 1,000. So if somebody would like to make conditions around that.
Can you speak up a little bit?
This is as loud as it gets.
I know you can speak louder than that.
Not yet.
To what God is saying there, if you read the checklist, and if you check the checklist, the question on the checklist is, was the certificate received in a timely manner? So, I think God is in mind, personally, that a $50 fine would be the appropriate route to go. Hence, I've always said, the punishment should fit the crime. If the crime committed for no insurance, then $1,000 would be fine. In this case, that is not the case.
So, just trying to think. Well, I haven't got there. I'm trying to entertain the motion, so I give
So do we have a motion for $50? I mean, it's automatic.
No, but I think we need to do the cleanup on the $1,000 too, because those checklists do reflect those associations. Oh, and that was
I definitely agree with the way what you just said. But it sounds to me as if that it should not have been checked no on the checklist, which would indicate no fine, because there's no definition anymore in there except for prior to the start of the rodeo. I mean, that's the only definition of timely. If the checklist says in a timely manner,
It says, cross-contract liability insurance policy received timely and met requirement.
right, there's no definition for timely, and the contract met the requirement.
Timely is 12 days.
Timely is not 12 days. In the last year's rule, it was referenced that that's what.
Okay, so for clarification, you have a rule book, and if the association doesn't follow the rule,
Right, but it's got to be, I agree, but you have to have a definition of the word, if you're gonna go on that, I'm not even putting the $1,000 fine in there, that's not even in play here. What I'm talking about is whether you check that box, yes or no. Our rule book doesn't define timely, it defines when they're going to put it in, but if you're not gonna assess, if it's no longer a late, then prior to the start of the rodeo is the best that you can do.
Well, it says 12 days, and I believe.
Yeah, there you go. That's fine.
Hold on, Terry, and then Amy.
I'd like to make a motion to remove a $1,000 fine and just charge on $50 fine for leading
Second.
Thank you. You don't need to speak now. Alright, so we have a motion.
12 days.
We have a motion and a second. Vedlon captured the motion. So Terry, that was you, and then Amy, and then Tom, or are you okay with it? Tom?
Here we go.
Am I gonna?
For the talk. I admit I'm human. And I make mistakes. In the letter from New Mexico, they said there were 3 mistakes. 1, the contractor needed help. 2, I was putting down, euthanizing a horse, and I didn't have time to work the contractor. And the contractor's daughter was in the hospital and was distracted. That's human. My question to you is, I agree $50 is fine, $1,000 is wrong. But how do we legally say we chose 50 rather than 40 cost?
On the checklist, anything that's checked in there generally is if you don't find it.
On our checklist that was done at the rodeo, there is a check that we did not get that done. We recognize that and we're okay with that. We did have a lot of circumstances. Number one, I'm the rodeo director, and it's my job to make sure that stuff's done. It's nobody else's, it's mine. And I take my responsibility very seriously. We did have a lot of problems. We had horses come back from Colorado with sickness in our barn, it went through our barn. The week before our rodeo, we had to put down a horse. We had a lot of issues. The stock contractor is always late. He's not a contractor that contracts any other rodeo. So it's just what happens with him. Every year we fight for the last second to get it. But then his daughter got off and she was in the hospital, and which his wife goes and takes care of that. It wasn't done. Those are all valid excuses, but at the same time, it was our responsibility to do that within 12 days, and we didn't do that. You know, I'm okay with that. The $1,000 would be a bit rough for us, but we had a lot of the circumstances there. I just didn't get my job, basically. So that's.
Well, and I will say last year you guys got an interview on, so. Honestly, yeah, it was like the month before. It was such a hot topic last year, and I was kind of surprised that New Mexico was one of the people.
And I was the director last year, and was this year. I manage Ryan Helander's barn, and I take care of horses, and every one of our horses in the upper barn was sick. We didn't know what. We quarantined our barn. We ended up putting the horse down. I mean, and those things take time for me to do what I need to do, which is my job, and Ryan Helander's job. And so, yeah, I would ask that there be some leniency for those things, but as I'm going to say, it was my position to get it done, and I did get it done. So that's it.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. David.
And then David, right?
No, Tom has to do it, sorry. And my parliamentary is correct.
Okay, so if this passes, is it your request that I give a credit memo for $1,000 to offset the fine that is imposed, and then do a new invoice for the $50, or do you want me to do a $950 credit memo so it comes down to $50?
That's account speed.
Okay, so if you invoice them, nobody's paid, right? Nobody's paid. So I will leave it up to you. That's the treasure. As long as we are done with the result after we approve this motion, because we will have to approve the motion yet, so we can't do anything.
Bruce here?
Yes.
I would like to offer an amendment to the proposal to include Sacramento under the same circumstance. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were just talking about CM. Are we talking about both rodeos that have been fined?
Yeah.
And then the two rodeos?
What do you have to tell us?
To remove the $1,000 fine from Zia and change to $50. I thought that was the motion just for
That was the motion, there was a motion. So I would like to amend the motion.
Hold on, because he didn't say Zia, so that's not where the motion should have been. So just cross out Zia and then this motion.
He said Zia.
He said Zia.
Yeah, he said Zia.
So why don't we, can we take Zia out, let me just work this out and see if you guys are. So if we took Zia out, we'll put NMGRA and CCGRA in its place. Yes. Okay, so the maker of the motion was
So as I understand it, Sacramento was also delayed in providing their security certificate, their insurance certificate, that was provided prior to the start of the rodeo. So they should be entitled to the same treatment that Mr. Heelander's Association is receiving. So I would like to offer the amendment to include our friends in Sacramento in reducing the fines to $50 stipend.
So that's correct. So we took the out and replace it with an HRA. That's what I'm doing. So, do I have a second? Any discussion on the amendment?
Do you have a letter from Jeff?
I don't know if we need it.
We don't need it. No.
Basically gives them the right.
Okay, the only thing that comes into play is if you interpret the rule as in only get a $1,000 fine for not producing one at all, the only question mark in this is, did it get produced prior to the rodeo regardless? And the $50 fine is just, that's just the way it is, that's part of it. It doesn't matter why it didn't get to them 12 days in advance, as long as it got to them before the rodeo starts because of that previous verification. There is no $1,000 fine if you period for any reason whatsoever unless you don't provide it. So it has nothing to do with why it was that, as long as it was that.
Tom and then Roger, this is just specific to the amendment, right? It's not the additional motion, we're not discussing that.
Okay, no, it's not, so let's vote on the amendment.
Any discussion specific to the amendment which covers Sacramento and New Mexico now? So let's vote on that. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now we're back to the original motion. Roger.
So I'm just going to implore, I agree with the motion, I'm going to be voting in favor of it, but I'm just going to implore whatever trustees sit on rodeo rules this weekend that we fix this rule. When last year we had this big discussion in Santa Fe about it, when somebody, me, my association, when I was rodeo director, did not get the certificate in time, and other trustees were fully in favor of the $1,000 fine at that point. This year, their rodeo was in arrears with that, and they're requesting it to be withdrawn and the rule reinterpreted. So we need to either have the rule or not have the rule. I'm just, this whole discussion every time we try to enforce the rule is beyond egregious in my opinion and mind-numbingly taking up my time.
Okay, so I've been told that we run out of time. But I want to address Roger because I was the deliverer of but the rule is significantly different this year, so I don't think
it is. I don't interpret it that way. I'm going to vote for this. I don't interpret it that way. It's in the exact same rule as the $1,000, so I don't think it's that much different, personally, but I'm going to go with it. And I just implore that it gets fixed during rodeo rules. I know CGRA has submitted a revision to this rule, and I just hope that folks within that committee take this seriously, because we just cannot keep revisiting a rule every time someone's in violation.
Well, let me just, so to be clear, because I keep hearing about, we are not interpreting this rule. This rule is the way it's written in the book. We are not interpreting it. We are just enforcing it. So I won't hear anybody to extend time, so I'm going to go ahead. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Sacramento, New Mexico. You're $950 less than the whole. And
So that means I need to receive $50 from those two associations for them to be seated with the management. Correct. As I look at your invoice
Get your money out.
Tom,
It didn't say you were.
They sent me for the big check. I can just cover that one.
I have a question.
Tom.
My question is simple. I am the ASPR trustee. I am also a member of the mix. And I is it legal for me to pay the $50 license after?
David accepts checks, credit cards, cash.
Simmer down. Did you have something?
Since I don't have access to our HVAC voters, I just wanted to point out the continued ambiguousness of this rule. Because the rule as you interpreted it said, as long as, wherever the rule is, that it's received. But you're, or not received. And so you could actually have a rodeo that's covered and give you the documentation that is covered a week later. And under this, the way you're interpreting this rule, for me, it would still, as long as the rodeo is observed, you only get $50 a month. Agreed. So that should probably be cleared up.
Right, and I think that proposal does, it's pretty detailed, the proposal that they have.
And you can view that online right now, if you go to IGRA.com.
Thank you, but I don't have a computer. I happen to be in my.
Well, but it is, but the point is, it is accessible and has been. So, I implore you to find a computer and read it. It is not only clear, it is severe. It is severely clear.
All right.
So, the way that, what I said, actually, is obviously.
All right, so that satisfies that next agenda item. So let's see what the other one that we need to clean up is the mayor. And so I need to go to standing rules. I have here. Let's clean this down. Rule 10, Section 2, Rule Section 2. So the situation was, they did not have the IGRA logo on or anywhere inside the program. And the way the rule, the standing rule says that a member association holding a rodeo that's been sanctioned by IGRA shall cause the IGRA logo to appear in all advertising and promotional material related to that rodeo except business or size. And then the discipline for that. Any member association not using the IGRA logo on promotional materials for IGRA sanctioned rodeo shall pay a fine of 5% of gate receipts related to that rodeo. So I asked the rodeo director how this program was distributed, and they distributed the day before, and they put it out at the bars. So had they said they never put it anywhere and they just put them in the bags, then I wouldn't even think it was a promotional material of any sort. But they did distribute it out. But it was the day before, so I don't know how much makeup they put on it. So I think where we're at is that the trustees need to first determine if it really truly was a marketing promotional item. And if so, then the fine is the discipline fine, whatever was
Okay, I guess we'll look there in 2015.
The old one is still sitting there.
Sure. Okay, my question then is, what would make the program not a promotional material when it adds in the program or sold? I'm not sure why. I think it's a sad scenario, and that we should, and that 5% could be an extremely large fine. But I guess I'm just looking at that aspect. Whether we oppose that or not is a whole different story. But I don't think going at this to determine if a program is considered promotional material, whether they put it out the day before or they handed it out to the stands that day, which they do. Everybody hands out programs to the people who buy tickets and come in. That's what they're, and the reason we sell ads is so those get to those people as promotion. So whether this is promotional or not, I don't think it's a question. So I'm not sure that going down that road is.
well, my thought is this: if they didn't hand it out anywhere, like other than half rodeo, people were there for no reason. They were there because they saw a poster, or they saw some Facebook or whatever. They weren't there because what's this? Oh, we should.
But that's not what the rule says as far as if they actually benefit from it. The rule says nothing about the organization having to benefit from it. So I think that it's simply whether we are going to impose that fine or we're going to do something to reduce the fine or whatever. I don't think there's a question on whether it was promotional material as this rule defines.
Bruce, do you have anything? Since this is your
I do,
association.
but I'm not sure it's appropriate.
Well, we're happy to hear it.
You know, sometimes it's hard to defend. The Bay Area for the last 2 or 3 years has contracted out their program. They don't manage the sales, they don't manage the production of the program itself, other than providing a little bit of artwork. It's done by an outside vendor. With the 3 people that produced their rodeo this year, one of those has no experience. The other 2 aren't very good at delegating or educating. So it makes it a very challenging event to pull off, and by miracles upon miracles, they do. And I'm very happy that they do. In regards to this, I mean, they literally got the program Thursday night. It didn't, to me, a promotional item is something you are promoting your event ahead of time. If the program really didn't get to the bar till Thursday night, or somebody didn't even see it till Friday, I understand where Gene is at too, but I have a hard time thinking of it as a promoting their rodeo, because it really didn't get the promoting time it should have had as a promotional item. But if this board does so choose to assess a fine for the missing logo at 5%, I have their budget item right here, because they had to produce this to be approved for next year's rodeo. There are 8 receipts or $4,704. A 5% fine would be $235. Their net proceeds for the rodeo this year were minus $1,500.
I was gonna ask if you had that.
That happens when you're a trustee and treasurer. You get a few documents.
Lisa, and then Amy.
I understand what you're saying. We've had this situation pop up in Texas. Not having a logo on a promotional item. That the intent for that program was to go out to people, I'm sure. Why would you have one made up if you weren't going to raise it out? To me, with the intent of it being a promotional item for the rodeo, that's the way it should be. And that's the way I see it, is I agree with you that is definitely a promotional item. The program is, and as far as the fine, perhaps something else could be worked out, but I don't know.
Amy.
The intent of the program and earlier the distribution prior to the rodeo presumably is to make people aware of the event, get butts and seats, and make money to be able to pay the bills. Now, there are a lot of unusual things about San Francisco, but one of them is an awful high percentage of the population that does not own a car. So, I'd like to know if the programs were placed in San Francisco laws is one thing. If they were placed in local Russian River laws, that's another. Because if they were in San Francisco laws, you probably didn't gain a benefit from having them there the day before the rodeo, because for the vast majority of the city residents, they have to plan ahead in order to leave town because they rely on public transportation. So I'm sort of thinking that if it's just city bars, then there's no benefit, and maybe there's some way we could get you out of this.
The programs did not leave the Vernon area until some of us drove home with them in our bags. So they did not leave the immediate vicinity to promote the rodeo anywhere else.
Okay, I heard you say something that I want to ask about because it certainly is relevant, in my opinion. When you said that they contract out the program to be done outside, right? To a different outside source?
Right.
And did you have a contract with that source? A written contract?
That I would not know. I'm not part of the production team, but I do not have a copy of the contract.
Well, the reason I'm asking is to me it's significant if you specify in that contract what had to be a part of it. Because now then it no longer comes under that first sentence, but it would come under the second sentence. Because if you have specified to the person producing it that these items have to be a part of it, and I don't think that I've ever heard of any other organization contracting out the program, so that's why I didn't think of this until you said it. But if you told them that the IGRA logo had to be on it, and you provided them with it, and they failed to put it in, and you find that out when you receive it, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it. And so I think that fact that you contracted with it, and if it said that, then they did something, or they would have, if they used the logo improperly, then it would have been come under that second sentence. But the fact of not using it, I don't think you can be held accountable for it if you told them to use it. I don't know what that is.
Roger.
I always say at least one thing during these meetings that'll get me voted off the island eventually, so.
So you're gonna say 2 days?
This will be another one. I think that while I understand and am empathetic towards their plight, I think that once again, we have a fine that's over $50, therefore, we're trying to find a reason not to fine them. A program is a promotional material, period. There's no gray with this, in my opinion. And I think that we've had now a 10, 15-minute discussion on how to get them out of the fine instead of actually enforcing our rule. And so I think that this group needs to either make every fine $50 so that we don't have to go through this every trustees meeting when there's a fine over $50, because that's what we end up doing. Or we need to actually follow our rule and fine them the $200 or whatever dollars that it was.
The only way to get off the island is to make a motion. Or we'll stay on this minute.
Why do we need a motion if it was a checklist fine?
Well,
I just want to say a couple of things. We make these rules and we want them followed, and so we put it penalties to make them followed. I came here with the idea, and I was given the rules that I was going to pay $1,000 fine, and how was I going to do that? Well, if that was the fine, and I screwed up, then I should pay it. But we have to look at our associations, and we're going with less rodeos and less rodeos. Do we need these rules in here to get where we're going? We have to change some things up, and I took a big chance in putting together a different kind of rodeo because we need change. Now, this is what we're talking about is are we going to keep finding these people, we're going to put these in to make them done, pretty soon we don't have any rodeos at all. That's all I mean, I understand where the fine was coming from, and I was willing to pay that. But I had to do 2,500 fundraisers this year to get it done, we would have done it, but we have to look at what we're trying to accomplish with these goals and these over finages and stuff like that. And I think I've never been on a trustee and I've never sat in these meetings, so I just think that somebody's got to start looking at some of this stuff.
Without taking a position on whether there should be a fine or should it be $235 or should it be $50, I will simply say two things. I always expect us to apply our rule. And number two, IGRA expects an IGRA sanctioned rodeo to represent itself as such. And this program has no reference to IGRA at all.
Just one other thing about the outside vendor. They have used the same vendor for several years. It's called Via Media out of San Francisco. So while I do firmly believe that they were amiss in clarifying with the vendor that they were doing the same thing year after year, that the logo was omitted. I don't believe, it could have been avoided with more oversight from the rodeo production team. But with it being an existing vendor, not a new vendor, I think they assumed that the vendor would follow the same protocols that they had used in the past. And receiving the program at such a late notice on Thursday night did not give them the opportunity to rectify the situation prior to it being distributed.
This is really painful and it's very unfortunate, but I don't think we have any other alternative than to follow the way it was written. So I'm doing that, baby. I move that we follow the law.
Second.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor?
Yes, it goes back to, I think, a lot of the different things we've got going on. I think, if they make $5 on the rodeo, if they make $5,000 on the rodeo, base it on what they made on the rodeo, I think that's
the rule. I don't know.
Based on what they made, it's based on tickets sold. It was based on what they made, IGRA will go then. 5% of the minus $15 million will be raised on that.
Now that's creativity.
That's reading the rule as it's written.
I fully agree, and I think that it's a shitty rule. I think that it needs to be changed. I think that it should come up tomorrow during the rodeo rules, and in fact, I'm going to be writing one tonight to propose. And so I don't agree with all the rule as written, and we need to start enforcing the rules or not happening.
Nobody wants to find you.
Nobody wants to find you.
Nobody wants to find you in the Bay Area, and no, you know, it's understood that there was no intent to.
So my comment on program 8 is that, I mean, we can go ahead and take this vote, but I just want to remind everybody that Texas was going to do the same thing and we overturned it.
On what basis was it?
Somebody made a motion, everybody trusted. And it passed.
Texas did, we had a bunch of rodeo country, just ran off the poster about the IGRA logo. As soon as it was discovered by some more experienced, one of those posters was supposed to have been taken down, and new posters were around. Around that had them up, we gave them the poster with the logo on there to correct it, but they did not change it out because they did not. It should have been explained to them, you need to take those down because they did not have the IGRA logo on. You're the ones with the IGRA. I'm not going to be knocking it down there, that's the whole thing. So we did make the that within a week of discovery.
Any more discussion on the motion? John?
But if we want to be fair, when we submitted the ad work to the printer, it had the IGRA logo on it, and we could prove that in HGRA. We could prove that it had, and they left it off, and we were fine. And at the time, though, the fine was only $50, but that was the one fine we had to do. So this board is flying all over everywhere. You're exactly right. Let's get it.
Well, this just happened at April, so this was from the time.
So the fact is, I don't care what it needs to be passed. This board has never cared what the circumstances were. If it came out for 1 second and it didn't have it on, you were fine. That was it. And so now, I was only out for a week around that. Well, that's not really information. I haven't been on this board for 2 years, but I'm really surprised. I don't even understand what this is.
Somebody's left some sunglasses over here.
Okay, so we're ready to vote. So all in favor of enforcing our rule and imposing a $235 fine?
And 27.
And then 27. Agree? Can't even count. Say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. We don't try abstinence in our meetings. Okay, so, it sounds like the motion passed. It's kind of like mumbling. Can I do the hand vote? All in favor? Raise your opposed, raise your hand. Cool. Motion carries.
I'd like to make a donation of $20 to the area chapter. On the AB 25 for pay half the water, I'm going to give that to them. And I suggest we all kind of pay their fine.
I got a little bit of absolutely.
That's what I
$200 and some dollars more. Come Let me get a tally here.
Okay, so while you guys are doing that.
200?
I know, me too.
The WGRF has
I got the
submitted a
27.
variance request. The New Mexico State Fairgrounds arena size is a little short. The requirement is 120 feet wide, whereas this arena is 117 feet wide. And so they're asking for a variance for that. Amy moves. Carrie second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Variance is approved. So as far as I know, that's all we have. Is there anything else for new business? We always have Sundays. If you forget Sundays, then sort of like. All right then. So meeting is adjourned at 3:16.
Hallelujah.
$159.
No, what do you like this?
Oh my God, thank you guys.
So how much do you?
Sorry. No, we all are conscious, so.
Yeah, I'm going to tonight. How much is the fine total? 235.20. And how much do you have?
$159.
Okay, the rest of them all.
Right, I mean, it's